the way from Abuja. Interesting. So we're going to stay with these two. But let me say two things. When Chima raised his hand, in fact, when I started saying, randomly, tell us who you met, what you learned, you could tell from his body language that he was just trying to not be too forward to raise his hand first. He was hoping someone would do that first before he did. And I can, off the top of my head, almost assume that he's sanguine. He's outward, he's lively, he's all out. First skill of emotional intelligence. You have 30 seconds to perceive who you're dealing with. First skill of emotional intelligence. 30 seconds to perceive who you're dealing with. In emotional intelligence, we develop your capacity to be alert, to understand who am I dealing with, in whose space am I entering. Because we've proven over time that when you know who you're dealing with, then your strategy for dealing with such a person is secure. Tip number 2 in emotional intelligence, everything is strategy. Everything is a strategy. You must develop a strategy for dealing with people that you meet. That's the only way you can win with people that you meet. Are we good? Yes, sir. I told you you'll be doing a lot of learning today, and please, as you're learning, just be prepared to ask as much questions as you can. But I just needed to let you know two things are principal. Number 1, 30 seconds is enough to know whom you're dealing with. Can we get a bottle of water for Daddy here? Please, thank you. So the first thing is develop capacity to know who you're dealing with in 30 seconds every time. This is what we teach you in soccer. The nitty-gritty. There is a simple dynamic. Just looking at you and observing how you twitch your eyes, your composure can suggest. You may not be accurate every time, but it can suggest. So it's like an elimination factor. It eliminates what you are not. It tells me the possibilities of what you are. Then the longer I stay with you, it continues to eliminate, then I know that, oh, this is this person. Once you can understand the person, the strategy for dealing with the person becomes very easy. Then number 2, everything is a strategy. So you find out that some people always get their way. Why? Because they understand the strategy to employ per time. Very principle. Now let me ask you a question. If you were to summarize who you are in one word, who are you? Each person. Everybody will say something. Everybody, one word, who are you? Tell the house. One word. I am Oyebade. This is me. One word.
One word.
Yes.
I am Alex Oyebade.
Yeah?
And I am a contributing human.
Contributing. So, anything that looks like collaboration, support, cooperation, his energy gets very enthusiastic. One word. Let's come to you.
All right.
One word.
Chukuma Joseph is my name.
Yeah.
I am intentional.
Intentional. Next. Hendrix. One word.
Barry Hendrix is my name.
Let's see your face. Are you shy?
No. Barry Hendrix is my name. I'm participatory.
Participatory. Fantastic. Next. One word.
Olabuyola is my name. I'm passionate.
Passionate. It shows. Red. Next. One word.
I am allowable and I'm spontaneous.
Spontaneous. Whoa. Next. One word.
Mr. Edzo. Intensive.
Intensive. Whoa. Next. One word.
Building. Compassionate.
Compassionate. Oh my. Next. One word.
I'm adventurous.
Adventurous. Name.
My original question was a Samuel.
Sam. Adventurous. Next.
My name is Obleba Moses. I am dependable.
Dependable. Oh my.
My name is Wally Martins. I'm thoughtful.
Thoughtful. Wow. Next.
My name is Gabriel Balogun. I'm reserved.
Reserved. Oh my. Next, one word.
My name is Shadi. I have multitasking.
Multitasking. Buddy. Wow. Next, one word.
Okay. Iheji Achim, I am kind.
Kind. Oh my God. Next, one word.
Gabriel, friendly.
Friendly. There is a place in the Holy Scriptures that says, "Who do men say I am?" Now, the definition of living, who? You dodged. Please, let's know who you are. One word.
I am Adil Wafungi and I'm lively.
Lively. Interesting. The closer the gap between who you are and who people say you are is you. The closer it is. This is who I think I am. This is who people think I am. The closer it gets, the more qualitative, the more original, and the more impactful you are. The essence of living a life of impact is closing the gap between who you think you are and who people think you are. Because the wider it is, the more strange you are. And the more your shadows will catch up with you. So the goal of living life is that when we were born, we were told to be who we should be, which was most times far from who we are. And as you're growing, there is a natural war in your head. This is not you. I want to play. No, you're from royal family. Don't talk like that. I want to hang out. No, girls don't hang out with boys. No, boys don't talk like that. No, you don't dress this way. No, you don't speak this way. No, so that war is continuous. But the more you train your capacity to say, you know what, this is who I am more. And people begin to associate with who you are. You're closing the gap between who you are and who people think you are. Then the more original you become. So one of the things we learn in class is what we call Unleash Me. There is a model in emotional intelligence in class we call the Unleash Me model. It means that we want to take you to a journey of reaffirming who you are. You already know who you are. We're not going to reveal to you who you are. We're not going to teach you or discover yourself. No. You know yourself. We're only going to help you with the learning of how to become, to manifest. Because really, your goal every day is to close the gap between who you think you are and who people think you are. So you're going to say this after me. Please raise your right hand. I pledge.
I pledge
to close the gap, between who I think I am, and who people think I am. Because I want to be original. I am original. I am me. I'll close the gap. I'm closing the gap. And I will close the gap. Thank you. Fantastic. Now, you see, in business we say, every time you get a feedback, to make profit from your feedback, make it a strategy. So the first thing is I want to close the gap between who I am and who people think I am. Then as I'm getting feedback of people knowing or saying who I am, I will not just stay on that feedback, I will make it a strategy. Little secret I must give you, free advice. Everything that you are should make you profitable. Hello? Hello? Everything that you are should make you what? No soul is permitted to be poor. It's okay to be broke once in a while. It's okay to be broke for a long time because you still are still grappling on how to sort your strategy. But being poor is not allowed. Why? Because by your soul, you are rich naturally. You're supposed to abound in wealth. But the only way to abound in wealth is to first associate with who you are and then profit from being who you are. So, number one learning I learned personally is that every time I got a feedback, I made it a strategy. Every time. Every time you get a feedback, deliberately make it a strategy. Talk about it. Sell it. Pitch it. Brand it. Flaunt it. Then people say, you know what? I want it. Are we together? In our emotional intelligence classes, we have 3 days of class. The first day of class, we teach you the business of being an emotional intelligence specialist. Because we reckon that there are many life coaches that are broke. So, this one I just told you about, feedback becoming a strategy, is the business class of our emotional intelligence session. We make sure everyone that comes to our academy has a business attitude to everything. Everything is an opportunity to make an extra cash. Everything. Am I talking to somebody? Everything is an opportunity to make extra cash. Everything. Everything. Please, I'd like you to say it after me. Everything is an opportunity to make an extra cash. Everything. Everything. Not some. Not any. Not a few. But everything. You need to grow the attitude of knowing that everything can make money for you. Everything. These are some of the things we try to derive in class to help our people understand, as a practicing coach of anything you want to do, develop the appetite to be productive and profitable. Very critical. Very critical. So, I'm just going to shoot this video. It's a 7-minute video. It's about emotional intelligence. I just want us to have a top-level perspective about this subject matter. Then we're going to go into the presentation format where I will show you some perspectives that has to do with the root of why we do what we do and how you can develop capacity to overcome it. Who is ready? Who is set? Interesting. So please watch this video, and when we're done watching this video, we're going to split into groups and have some form of conversation. I'm in the mood for giving a lot of scholarships today. Who knows? We already have 100% scholarship for one person. Who knows who's going to be next? Who knows what the scholarship looks like? So we're going to discuss in groups. I'd like to see the most engaging attitude from this video.
Daniel Goleman argues that IQ isn't everything. Our current view of intelligence is too narrow, ignoring important abilities that determine how well we do in life. The superior metric that Goleman is made up of these 5 things. Number 1, self-awareness. This is knowing one's emotions as they happen. If you can do this, you'll make better decisions. Number 2, managing emotions. This is the ability to handle feelings. People that can manage their emotions are good at bouncing back from setbacks in life. Number 3, self-motivation. Number 4, empathy. This is recognizing emotions and feelings. This is the people skill that makes people better at teaching, sales, and management. And last of all, handling relationships. These abilities lead to popularity, leadership, and interpersonal effectiveness. So how do we improve our emotional intelligence? Goleman offers various insights throughout the book. I'll go over the ones that I found the most useful, and I think you will too. Lesson 1, the ventilation fallacy. Venting when you're angry prolongs your mood rather than ending it. Goleman tells the story where he's in New York and he hops in a cab. The impatient cab driver honks the horn, signaling a young man to move out of the way. The young man flips a bird, so the cab driver yells back, "You son of a bitch," followed by revving the engine loudly out of anger. As the cab takes off, the driver then says, "You can't take shit from anyone. You gotta yell back. At least it makes you feel better." Contrary to popular belief, Goleman, along with findings from multiple studies, argues that venting your anger doesn't make you feel better, but instead prolongs and amplifies your anger. It pumps up the emotional brain's arousal and leaves people feeling more angry. Don't get confused though. Venting when you're sad can be a great way to get your feelings validated, but isn't as effective when you're angry. So when you feel yourself becoming angry, what can you do to control your anger? A. Take a few deep breaths to help you relax and slow your heart rate. This helps your body go from a high arousal to a low arousal state. B. Go for a walk, but don't indulge in anger-inducing thought. C. As bad thoughts come to you, write them down and then reframe them. For example, if your spouse gets upset at you and storms out the room, instead of thinking, oh, she's so cranky all the time for no reason, it drives me nuts, write down that thought and reframe it to, maybe she's just had a bad day at work. Lesson 2. Don't ruminate when you're sad, distract yourself instead. A saleswoman gets depressed and spends so many hours worrying about it that she doesn't get around to important sales calls. Her sales then decline, making her feel like a failure, which feeds her depression. But if she reacted to depression by trying to distract herself, she might well plunge into the sales calls as a way to get her mind off the sadness. Sales would be less likely to decline, and the very experience of making a sale might boost her self-confidence, lessening the depression somewhat. What Goldman is trying to say here is that continuing to think negative thoughts will lead you deeper into sadness. Distractions are what break the chain of sadness-maintaining thinking. The best distractions are ones that will shift your mood, such as a funny movie, reading an uplifting book, or going to an exciting sport event. He says distractions are more effective than crying because crying often reinforces rumination and prolongs misery. Goldman offers 4 more solutions to managing sadness. Alright, here are some goodies. A. Aerobic exercise is good because it changes your physiological state. Depression is a low arousal state, and aerobic exercise counters it by putting you into a high arousal state. B. Go for that easy success. Do that small task that you've been putting off for a while and reap the rewards. C. Reframe the situation. Just like with anger, take note of bad thoughts when they come to you and see them in a more positive light. I can resonate with this strategy, which helped me after my first relationship ended. I had a lot of negative thoughts like, life will never be the same without her. After 7 months, I finally accepted that the relationship was over. If I continued to grieve, I would surely get nowhere. So instead I thought, okay, that relationship wasn't so great. What can I learn from it? This was a massive turning point in my life. I'm now thinking. Lastly, help others in need. It helps us empathize. This is one I really like. Here we go. Lesson 3. The artful critique. How to criticize the right way. Criticism is important in how it is given. It determines how satisfied people are with their work, with those whom they work with, and those who are responsible. One of the worst criticisms, if you're managing people, is to say, you're screwing up, delivered in a harsh, sarcastic, angry tone. It provides neither a chance to respond, nor any suggestion of how to do things better. It ignores the person's feelings and leaves them feeling hopeless and angry. A much more effective way to criticize would be to say, the main difficulty, especially the design specifications for your software development, to see if you can figure out a way to do the same job more quickly. This gives them hope of doing better and suggests the beginning of a plan to do so. Goldman says you need 4 things to successfully deliver constructive criticism. They are, be specific, offer a solution, do it face to face, and be sensitive by showing empathy. Lesson 4. Emotional control experiment. 2 volunteers filled out a checklist about their moods at the moment, and then sat facing each other quietly, waiting for the experimenters to return to the room. 2 minutes later, she said that one partner was highly expressive of emotion, and one who appeared flat and expressionless. It turns out that the mood of the expressive person had been transferred to the expressionless person. This is an example of emotional contagion. Our emotions are contagious like a virus. They spread through others. This is why speakers like Tony Robbins are able to hype up their audience and get them involved. They show their passion and energy, which spreads through the audience like wildfire. Goldman says this ability to drive the emotional state in another person through emotional contagion is at the heart of influencing people, whether that's through speaking, teaching, singing, or in any other interpersonal communication.
Perfect. Please let's put our hands together for that learning. I want you to say after me, I set the tone.
I set the tone.
I change the energy.
I change the energy.
I determine what happens.
I determine what happens.
I set the frequency.
I set the frequency.
I flow with the tide.
I flow with the tide.
I lead the emotions.
I lead the emotions.
I'm not led by emotion.
I'm not led by emotions.
I lead the emotions.
I lead the emotions.
Perfect. It's necessary for you to understand that if you don't determine the emotions that happen, then you'll be led by the emotions, and you cannot afford for that to happen. Because if you do not take charge of the emotional space, someone will. Someone will. Sorry, let me stop that video. We have learned that in life, it's not possible for operation to happen in a vacuum. Something has to take the lead. So if I don't take charge, I would follow someone else's charge. So every day, your responsibility is to set the tone for anything that you're involved. Provided I'm there, I must set the tone. Provided I'm there, I must set the tone. Now, one of the things we're going to learn today is that emotional intelligence is tripartite. There is a tripod of emotional intelligence. Say after me, a tripod.
A tripod.
A tripod of emotional intelligence. And what does it mean? You know when in that video they said Daniel Goleman recommends that 4 things must happen for emotional intelligence to be complete or for you to criticize effectively. Number 1 is what? Be specific. Number 2 is what? Offer a solution. Number 3 is what? Do it face to face. Number 4 is what? Be empathetic. Show sympathy or be sensitive by showing empathy. Now, if I must be specific, which is not a common thing around here. One of the things we were trained or groomed as children to believe is that you don't talk to an elder. You can't tell an elder he lied. So we grow up and then we go into a workspace and my supervisor, I can't tell my supervisor you are misleading us. Because in my head, the programming says you don't talk to a superior, whether by age or by rank, that he's wrong. Yes. Please ask a question.
Sorry, when you say
Please sit down.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. When you say be specific about what is in your mind or what you don't feel about the person or what?
Be specific about the conflicts,
Okay.
the offense. Be specific about what makes you offended. Be specific about what you think has gone wrong.
With your boss.
With your boss, with anyone. Specificity is key. Because sometimes you even penalize people for what they don't even know they've done. They don't have a full idea what you're angry about. They don't have an idea what you're upset about. And that in itself can become disempowering. So specificity is key. You see, in dealing with people, one of the things I'm hoping we can learn today is the categories of people we deal with. And when I speak about this, I speak with respect to the fact that you're single or married, you're in business or in employment, and somehow you don't live alone. You will have a neighbor or a flatmate or something. So there are different contexts and perspectives to how we relate with people. And so it is impractical to expect that there will not be conflict at any level or disagreement. But these 4 elements must play out as much as possible. Have you noticed that when you're chatting with someone, when you're expressing a displeasure, there is a higher chance of being misunderstood than when you're talking with the person? Yes. Because every given time, physiology is key. Body language is necessary. So when you go through NLP class, for instance, they will tell you that in communication, 3 things must happen. Number 1 is that there has to be a verbal communication. And unfortunately, that's only 7% of the entire bouquet. And then they tell us also in NLP that the tone or the pitch or the strength of what you're saying accounts for 38% of what you're trying to communicate. So the things you say don't matter. It's the strength of how you say it. But the bigger chunk is even the fact that how your body follows, the energy that follows what you say is 55%, which is more like the real issue. So you're on phone with someone and you can almost perceive how the person is in posture. You're chatting with someone and you say, are you upset? Is anything wrong? And the person says, I'm fine. But you can feel it in the chat. that something is not right. Why? Because communication is more about how it is expressed than what is expressed. And so emotional intelligence is building your capacity to ascertain how you communicate than what you want to communicate. I like how Kule Shorian says it. He says sometimes you win an argument but you lose the friendship. Because actually, it's not a function of what you have to say. It's a function of how do I say what I have to say, if I have to say it, and if I have to do it. Very critical. Free advice. The pillar of emotional intelligence is flexibility. Free advice. The pillar of emotional intelligence is flexibility. In NLP, they tell us that the most flexible person in any group is the most powerful person in the group. The pillar of emotional intelligence is flexibility. What have you learned so far between morning and now? I think we're going on for barely 30 minutes now. Yes.
How I express my ideas and feelings is more critical than what I have to express.
How is more critical than what? Interesting. You said you are Kerry Hendricks. Perry.
Yes.
I was going to raise a particular case study on this.
CKS.
CKS. Perry Hendricks.
No, it's a B, not P. B.
B.
For Blackberry.
Oh, this one is B.
Yes.
Barry Hendricks. Who else? What have you learned so far? Yes, Gabe.
Everything is a strategy.
Everything is a strategy. I get a lot of people tell me, I want you to coach me. I want to befriend you. I want to be close to you. I want to, and a particular day, one young chap, early in the morning, good morning, sir. How are you? I'm fine. How's the family? Fine. Are you okay? Yes. And I'm wondering, oh God, where is this going? So I say, you know what, just go straight to the point. There's a strategy to everything. Sometimes you have good intentions for where you're going, but your strategy is going to rubbish the intention. So you have 30 seconds to perceive who you are dealing with and understand their strategy. Just leverage on it. It sees the deal every time. So, another free advice. You don't go to the market with what you want. You go to the market with what it wants. The market can be people, can be persons, can be business, can be anything. You don't go to the market with what you want. You go to the market with what it wants. In other words, what helps you to win with people are the people themselves, not you. What helps you win with people are the people themselves, not you. So when you're relating with any human, your understanding of that human will give you capacity to win. Everybody loves to be felt. Everybody loves to be felt. But if you're trying to lord your feeling on other people, you can't get them. Very, very important. When I write Barry Hendricks, what comes to mind? Let's assume he's not here. Let's assume I say, I have a friend, his name is Barry Hendricks. Tell me what first comes to your mind. Anybody? Yes, sir.
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. Rock and roll. Entertainment. So, who else?
Alex Hendry.
Sir?
Alex Hendry.
Alex Hendry. Okay. What is it about these people that comes to your mind when this name is mentioned? Yes, sir.
I think he's a foreigner.
You think he's a foreigner?
No, I don't think Nigerian.
You would not think he's a Nigerian. Any other view? So let's assume you know my name already. But let's take that you don't know my name. But let's take that you were sitting in the lobby and I walked in as I am dressed. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Hausa man.
From the north.
From the north. Any other views? and I come to you and I speak with you and I do have an Hausa accent, how would you relate with me? Caution or freedom? Caution. Caution, not freedom. Who will be very free?
The Hausa man.
A Hausa person.
Or the person that speaks the language.
Yeah, I was going to say if I'm from the north too, there will be a quick bonding.
There will be a quick bonding. Any other views? So here is Mr. Gabriel. Look at Mr. Gabriel, please. Mr. Gabriel, if you don't mind, please stand. I would like you to tell me in a few words, what's your impression of him as he stands? 1, 2, 3. First impression. Northerner. Even though I said Gabriel. Maybe he's from Southern Kaduna, the Christian side of the north.
He looks like those allergy that is well, they have money because of the glasses he's putting on.
Interesting. Interesting.
And I think that when I come to my mind, if I want to be funny, I'll say people that wear glasses, they're intelligent. Maybe it comes first.
Like a nerd. Interesting.
Like that.
Wow. Now, delete the name you know about this man. We don't know his name. Have a look at him. What's your first impression of him? First impression.
He is either a lecturer.
Is he a lecturer?
Yes.
Or professor? Gabe, you may sit down. Thank you very much. Why am I saying all this? There is a map we teach you in class that we call the TFA map. And the TFA map is 100% the reason why we do everything. 100% why we do everything is our TFA map. There is a map that you have that is you, is a representation of what you do naturally. So I come in here, I see Shade, I like her, I want to talk to her. She sees me as a northerner, first filter. I walk to her, I say, hi, how are you? I'm so energetic because I'm trying to get through to her. She's very cautious. She doesn't want me to get through to her. So her response is filtered. She says she'll be cautious. So as I'm asking, so how are you? Where do you stay? I just wondering, where do you stay? And she probably gives me a false information just to be, not to be rude. She just wants to play nice. So she said, okay, I stay in Ibadan. Meanwhile, she stays in Lagos. And I said, Oli, what do you do? So with this guy. So all she's doing, creating gates and bars to constrict rapport. Not because she knows my name, not because she knows anything about me, just because by my appearance there is a filter that she has created. All of us have filters. And everything you do is informed by the filter, period. So there is an interpretation that comes with anything you see, hear, or experience. Everything. And in this TFA map, we say that unless you intercept your map, you can never get some results. So your mama told you never to bring an Igbo boy to her house. That informed a map that is a projection of her map, wherever she got it from. So all humans are governed by maps. There are some kinds of jobs you will not do. Not because people are not profiting in that job, but because your map tells you, me, I cannot do this one. There are some places you will never stay. There are some friends you will never be intimate with. There are some things you will never accommodate. It's not because people are not enjoying it, but your map does not accommodate it. It is not within the boundaries of your prosperity map, of your willingness map. I like one thing they taught us in NLP, for instance. They said, if your language does not have the word trillion or billion, you cannot experience it. Language. There is a vocabulary that without which you cannot experience it. So, if your vocabulary does not have forgiveness, you cannot forgive. If your vocabulary does not have friendship, you can't be friendly. If your vocabulary does not have kindness, you can't be kind. So, ladies and gentlemen, the behavior and attitude you have not exhibited is absence of vocabulary for that behavior. Simply put, oh, I just wish I can be more friendly. I don't know why I don't know how to make friends. It's simple. There's an absence of vocabulary of friendship. If you can go and study and get more input of that vocabulary into your system, it becomes natural to exhibit it. Am I talking to someone?
Yes.
If there is something you're looking for, get the vocabulary into your system. Simple. You know why? Because we learn in behavioral science that the things you ever get to do are actually unconscious. The real things you really get to do, they are unconscious. 90% of the times, you just do things. Because the 10% that you consciously try to do is still influenced by the ones that you do naturally. Do you know that someone in this hall now, if I call you out to teach this subject, you may not know it, but you will say a lot of things that will make sense. Because talking to you comes effortlessly. But to some other person, just the mention of your name, you feel like the ground should open. Because predominantly, we're a function of what we are an embodiment of. So I'm just saying something, a simple advice. If there is something you're looking for, focus on it enough to become an embodiment of it. It will happen. So when you notice that you always have conflict with people, you're always at conflict with people, the question is, what do you want to do? I want to be more friendly with people. So go all out and get information about how to be friendly with people. Don't cram it. Don't be conscious. Don't be uptight. I want to be friendly. Let me smile. They say if I smile always. No, don't bother. Just be reading, learning, watching, observing. As you're doing that, you're unconsciously developing capacity to give it. Because it's what you have that you can replicate. So in cramming, it doesn't work. In trying to be, wanna be friendly, it will not work. Just keep learning. As you're learning, you unconsciously begin to give of what you have deposited. Are we together?
Yes.
Are we good?
Yes.
So this map says, when I came in here, dressed this way, it is a trigger for someone. Who is this guy? Dressed like a northerner. So he must have something to do with northerners. And I recall that northerners, they slaughtered my uncle. Triggering event. A triggering event would naturally lead to a thought. There is going to be a thought pattern based on the event. So as I'm driving, and you're driving, and I try to harass you, is a triggering event. And the first thing that comes to your head is, the memories that govern that experience, that kind of scenario, would inform what you will do. Free advice. The demon is your memory. Please write it down. The demon you are fighting is your memory. The demon we always fight is our memory. The demon is your memory. If there is anything you are doing, whether it's right or not right, what is making you do it is your last remembrance of what it looks like and what it reminds you of every time. When I say to you, guy, you are blessed, the interpretation of that statement would be informed by every time you've heard it. Have you felt blessed? Or has somebody used that statement to hurt you? I have a friend, a protege. She says that when she was raped, the guy that raped her kept saying, you are beautiful, you are beautiful. And he raped her. So when you come to her and you say you are beautiful, that statement is not a statement she will be glad to hug you. It's a statement of they don't come again. So your memory is a determinant of what you will do. So when you're driving and someone is acting crazy, the remembrance of what either a friend died, or my parents suffered, or I heard or I read that someone was involved in an accident and there was a fracture, is your memory that will inform your response. And say, okay, be careful, don't try it. It's not because you necessarily have a personal experience. It's because your memory says, if this happens, this will happen. The demon is your memory. So I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to intercept a negative behavior that you have been putting up, you need to treat a memory that behavior reminds you of. Otherwise, you will always spontaneously react in a particular way. When somebody screams at you, it either tells you, you are looking down on me, and then you want to respond. Or he says, this guy must be under pressure, then you want to help. It's your memory, based on what screaming means to you. When somebody cheats you, what your memory tells you about that cheating is what will inform how you will respond. Every time is what your experience reminds you of that determines what you will do. Shade wants to ask the question. Please feel free.
I want to.
Go on.
Because I'm trying to ensure anything you say, I bring it back to my life.
One thing you must be comfortable about, every question is legitimate. So please feel free to ask. Yes.
Oh, but in this scenario that you said, all your memories, your remembrance,
yes,
what you will do. Okay, in a situation that you don't at all. Okay, for instance, now maybe in a relationship,
yes,
someone hurts you,
yes,
and you know that anytime this person comes,
yes,
with a specific mood, this person is going to break your heart. And you said, okay, I'm not going to think about what this person said.
Yes.
But at the end of the game, it's not
happened. Still happens.
So, are you saying my thoughts is not good enough or what? Because inside me, I don't want to think that negativity.
You don't want to feel that negative energy.
Yes, exactly, that energy. But at the end of the day, it comes that way.
Good.
So am I going to say my thought is bad or I
good?
Know what?
So let's use this map to interpret it. This fellow, your lover, comes to you, starts saying sweet words, and deep down you know that, oh, you've done it before, I don't trust you. Those thoughts, all he's saying are triggering events. He's triggering thoughts in your head. Those thoughts you are having are based on two things. You see, there are two arrows here. These two arrows, which we call the belief domain. The first arrow says, if I have healthy beliefs about what is happening, my thoughts will be healthy. And healthy here means empowering. If I have unhealthy beliefs about what is going on, my thoughts will be unhealthy. Unhealthy here means disempowering. So the question now is, I don't want to dwell on the possibilities that this guy will hurt me. So I'm trying to develop healthy beliefs so that I can have healthy thoughts. Or somewhere I know this guy may hurt me, which is unhealthy beliefs. So the question now is, for every unhealthy belief that you encounter, what is your strategy to make it healthy, to protect yourself? I recall that this morning I said EI is a tripod. Did I say so before? Yes. I said it's tripartite. What is the tripod? I didn't mention it, so I will now. Number one, for EI to be complete, self-preservation is primary. There is no place in life where you preserve every other thing except you. Your first responsibility is self-preservation. So for EI to be complete, self-preservation is what? Primary. Number one responsibility you owe yourself and you owe your own God is that you are preserved. Number one. Number two, anyone involved in your decision is preserved. People preservation. Number one is self-preservation. Number two is people preservation. Number two is people preservation. So in every thought I'm having, I must preserve myself, And as I'm preserving myself, I must preserve anyone involved in my decision. So look at it this way. Your lover tells you a lot of sweet things. And deep down you have a suspicion that this guy will hurt me. First responsibility, protect yourself. Second responsibility, don't harm him in return. Protect him. So in people preservation, which is the second, it is your responsibility to develop strategies to help him discontinue that pattern somehow. You shall suffer for not falling in love. That is not self-preservation. That is foolishness. It's key. But in protecting yourself, it is also now disempowering when you are not responsible. Way that you go leave me. That in itself is not people preserving. Rather, I will love you back because you're my lover, but I will find means to help you discontinue this pattern because it could be a pattern. It could be a trigger from something totally different that makes him behave in that particular way. Second is people preservation. Third is earth preservation, the environment. Earth, E-A-R-T-H, the environment. We say that emotional intelligence is complete when you take charge of the space where you occupy. You see, this is where the patriotic streak comes to play. One of the things that has harmed us as a country is the fact that almost every Nigerian is self-preserving. We are not people preserving unless there is a cause. Then thirdly, we are almost zero at earth preservation. We don't care about, so people take pure water, fling it. They buy credit, scratch it, fling it. They see a dirt, they ignore it. As you're in this hall now, by the time we close, I can almost guess that 100% nobody will care about these cases. Should we switch it off? Or just should I then get home? They go come off on by themselves, switch on my own. Everybody goes home. You're probably walking down the stairs, you see a piece of paper, you just say this hall is so dirty. Now what for these people, you just go home. That's not emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence says that as you protect yourself, you must consistently think of the people that are connected with you, how are they protected, and then everywhere you step your feet, you own it. Are we together? The third pillar, which is this tripartite, is key. It's something we must imbibe. Anywhere I step into, I own it. Do you know the funny thing? It's scriptural. You know the Bible says, anywhere your feet steps into, I give it to you. It means that the moment I walk into a place, at that material time, it is mine. So sometimes I go to a hotel to lodge, and as I'm in the hotel, they are watching some funny stuff, and there is some maybe electrical, and I say, you guys need to fix this thing. And they're looking at me like, you're a customer. The impression is like, you're a customer. Which one is your own? So they work there, it does not bother them because if the owner no look at, if you don't give us money, we no go do it. It's an attitude to develop, earth preservation. If at every given time you are concerned about three elements, three elements must match for you to say you're emotionally intelligent. It's a tripod. Self-preservation. What's the second one?
People preservation.
People preservation. And the third one?
Earth preservation.
Earth preservation. These three must be complete for you to say you are emotionally intelligent. It's not about you alone. It's natural to want to protect yourself. So self-preservation is natural. There's nothing special about preserving yourself. That's what you should do in the first place. But how many times do you consciously protect anyone connected to you? Not condoning what they do, because you are protecting yourself, remember? By protecting yourself, you are not condoning anything that is going to harm you. But you are not going to reciprocate again by causing harm to the person you are with. And thirdly, so it is going to be totally impossible to get angry and smash a TV. Because earth preservation, you can't. It's impossible to just remove your shirt and say, Igbo, oh yeah, I will show you today. You won't do it because people preservation, you can't. It's going to be impossible to you. You are so daft, your head is so empty. You won't do it. You know why? People preservation. So these three, if these three govern how you behave every time, you realize that over time, you are fine. The people around you feel fine because you seem to enrich them with what you say and what you do. Then everywhere you go, everything is fine because you seem to be wanting to. That's how EI works. The tripod of emotional intelligence. But you know the funny thing? This thing cannot happen until you fix this domain. Because our thoughts don't just land on us. You don't just start thinking out of the blues. You start thinking based on what you believe about what you are seeing. Hello? So Shade as is someone who comes from maybe a conservative background, look at her and say, this hairstyle now, wow. I'm thinking many things. You know why? The triggering event is that she appears dressed as she is, beautiful. Or because you don't have that narrative, that vocabulary is not in your set of words and experiences, your belief says that, you don't hear her. So your friend is talking to you, why are you talking to her? Do you know where she's coming from? You know how she's dressed. Thoughts. But those thoughts are generated by unhealthy beliefs. Now, unhealthy beliefs have three subsets. When there is an unhealthy belief, what did we define unhealthy belief as? We said a disempowering mindset is an unhealthy belief. And there are three things that can make it happen. Number one is what we call awfulizing. Awfulizing. So, awfulizing is number one style of an unhealthy belief. And what does this mean? Do you know that some of us believe that when things go the way we want, it's not done well? Do you know there are people like that? Barry, I'd like you to please clean this place. You say, okay. So I go get busy. And he cleans. And as he's cleaning, this table now tilts. But because I am this perfectionist, I want it straight. As far as I'm concerned, because this table is tilted, you didn't clean this well. What's going on? Is it difficult for you to concentrate and do these things well? So you respond because things don't go the way I want. When the focus is on how you want, you can't get happy. You will always be in an emotional state of storm when things have to go the way you want. You know why? In psychology, we say every day you meet an average of 21 people. Every day. An average of 21 people. If everything has to go the way I want, it means you want 21 people to conform into your set of instructions. Go lay work. You don't know them from anywhere. You come out, conductor has to do like you want. Conductor must talk to you and say, Eba changing, you drop down and say, God bless you. How? It cannot work. So you have to retrain your mind to understand that I am the energy determinant. The energy coming to me, I have to rewrite it. It's not bad. Bad. In fact, one of the things we teach in emotional intelligence is that there is nothing that is bad. What is whether it is functional or dysfunctional. Nothing is bad. The issue is it functional or dysfunctional? And what is functional? Is it serving you or is it hurting you? Is it in conformity with the tripod? Because something may be good to me, but it's not functional for the persons relating with me. Are we good? Please, are we together? Yeah. Are we getting this? Yeah. So the first thing is, when you awfulize, you're likely to be promoting an unhealthy belief that is going to harm you and harm the people around you and harm the environment that you're occupying at that material time. What does this mean? I told you before, I said, The pillar of emotional intelligence is what? Go back to your notes. There's a statement we talked about pillar. Flexibility. The pillar of emotional intelligence is flexibility. The moment you demonstrate any form of rigidity, you will have issues. Any form of rigidity. So the man, the sage, whoever that said live and let live, was wise. Live your life, I respect it. Let me live my own, you to respect it. You are not wrong, I'm not wrong. I won't harm you, don't harm me. I won't interfere, don't interfere. As I'm doing my own, I will like what I like. I'm preserving myself. As I'm doing my own, I will not interfere or interrupt you, I will preserve you. Live and let live. Flexibility is key. Because the moment you insist that things have to go the way you want every time, you will start getting into some bottlenecks. Number 2, for unhealthy beliefs, this is number 1, is what we call the LFT. LFT is called low frustration threshold. The second unhealthy belief system suggests that some of us have not allowed life to train you. You have a low threshold for inconvenience, difficulty, and pain. So somebody calls you, oh my God, you mean you think this way? And the person says, he just insulted me. Oh my God. And then you crumble. You go to the bank and there's a large queue and you want to faint. This queue, I can't handle it. I can't deal. You go home. You go to the ATM, first ATM, deduction, no dispense. You're like, I'm dead. I'm finished. Notiko. Those are LFT patterns. When your threshold for accommodating inconvenience begins to affect you, it's LFT. Because in the system of life, life is a yin yang. Life would empower you and test you. So if for every test, that's why the Bible says, if in the time of test you fail, your strength in the original time was already small. So it behoves on you to allow grit. You have to allow life to teach you. Because where you're going is very far. Am I talking to someone?
Yes, sir.
That is why we teach in EI that every life experience is a lesson. If you flip, you recall the video we watched, the guy was saying, instead of thinking that you are a victim, you say, what lessons can I learn from this? Because if you consistently think that you are learning from everything, LFT can never be your problem. In December, because since the last time there were fuel crises, I decided I was never going to book online tickets in advance for traveling. So I felt I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I had reserved a ticket, I'll go to the airport and they've cancelled the trip or they moved it by 12 hours or 3 hours. I thought, okay, you know what, it's not cheap, it's the money. I'll go to the counter, pay for the next flight for whichever carrier is going, and then I fly. That became my new decision. So in December, I was coming for a wedding of a beloved one. I left home 5:30. I wanted to catch first flight. Went to the airport. And the check-in cubicle was locked. They had not resumed. Apparently they were going to resume by 7. And there was a long queue outside, people waiting. So I joined the queue. I got to the airport 6:00 something. There was already a long queue. I was far behind. So they came finally, they opened, we started trickling in. And then I got to Dana. They said no flight. All fully booked. They said their waiting list 28 people. So even if I was going to join the waiting list, I'll be the 29th. I went to Air Peace, no flight. I went to Arik, no flight. Medview, no flight. First Nation, I said, today, not today. So I started asking, okay, so what am I going to do now? I called, driver, please come back, pick me, take me to the car park. By the time this was around 9 a.m. already. So, took me to the car park. And by the time we were gallivanting from park to park, no cars were traveling again for the day. So, there is God. But there's something I already trained my mind to believe. What you can control, control. What you cannot control, release. So I simply called my beloved brother and said, Ross, no vex. This is the reality I found myself. And I went back home. Not happy that it turned out that way, but I accepted it. LFT is a situation where if I was to allow the experience to govern my emotion that day, I'll call my wife and say, what's up? I say, please. You know, they say, I'm not in the mood. Which one is your own? My daughters may come and say, Daddy, I say, please. Back well. So for every time you have felt, people don't just understand, I need privacy. It's LFT playing out. Because nobody knows what you want. You know, sometimes somebody will call you and say, oh, this person does not even know when to call me. Is it every time you're calling me? How will I know when to call you? Is there a timetable? So when we have these kind of responses or reactions, it's LFT. It is you that cannot accommodate that moment. And you need to understand that it is what is affecting your emotions at that material time. LFT is a disempowering belief system that begins to inform a thought. This person is a pest. This person is a problem. This thing is threshold. The perception that things should be perfect like this or like that. Otherwise, I'm not happy. The third, under unhealthy belief, is what we call self-damning. Self-damning. So this morning, my nephew, because I arrived late last night, and when I go home, my kids have slept off, my younger brother's kids. So this morning, oh, big daddy, they came and I saw my nephew, all his body marker. Ah! Oga, this your tattoo is fine, oh. What's going on? And he sits down on the floor and he's sulking. And they say, what's going on? And his mother says, because you talked about the tattoo. In his brain, I'm querying him. Do you know there are some of us like that? The moment someone makes a comment that does not rhyme like what you want to hear, you shut down.
I think everyone will do that.
Is capacity. It's capacity. Unless you build your capacity to take feedback, ask yourself, what is the element about this thing that I need to work on? It can become self-damning. Self-damning is interpreting incidences as a victim. When you see feedback, implication, interpretation as you being the victim, you're self-damning. And when you self-damn, you can never be functional or productive, even for yourself. Self-damning is admitting that I'm less than I thought I was. That's self-damning. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if there's anything I've learned the hard way, nobody send you. I'm telling you the honest truth. The best of people that like you still have a way to say they want to be like you. Enviously, if there's a word like that. The best of people that like you will still envy a place you reach. Have you watched 3 Idiots before? Yeah. When the 3 Idiots, did you see a scene where they went to check for their result? They didn't see his name the first time. He said, the guy's not on the list today, maybe the guy has failed. Because at least we were in the F bracket. Maybe the guy has failed, pata, they have deleted him from the list. You know, I like him and say, oh, guy, 9 days up. Are you for real? What did the commentator say? He said, your friends will always like to be around you, provided you are not ahead of them. It's a strong lesson of life. So if you're looking at feedback and it's damning you, you are only making yourself vulnerable for more disempowerment. And one of the things we teach in class, I told you we do Unleash Me, right?
Yes.
I told you we do a module in EI class called the Unleash Me. The Unleash Me is a process we take you in class that reveals to you the DNA that you are. Because, you know, sometimes we hear these things, they tell us, you're able, you're capable, you own your life, you're the captain of your ship. We think these are theories, but genetically, it's true. There is nothing you cannot influence by your feeling. Nothing that you cannot influence. So, if you want to change what is happening in the physical, ladies and gentlemen, trace it back to how you have dealt with awfulizing. To deal with awfulizing, learn to be flexible. To deal with LFT, see everything as a lesson. To deal with self-damning, tell yourself, whatever is going on, I am winning. To deal with awfulizing, learn to be what? Flexible. To deal with LFT, see everything as a lesson. To deal with self-damning, always let yourself, remind yourself you're a winner. Not tell yourself that I am going to be a winner. Remind yourself, because actually that's who you are by nature. By nature, you're a winner. In Fear Mastery class, one of the things we teach is the hierarchy of life. There's an organogram of life. How many of us know what an organogram is? Especially those who are related to HR. Let me draw a dummy organogram. An organogram in an organization says, e.g., we have a board of directors, we have the MD, CEO reporting to the board, we have maybe a VP or COO, whatever you have. Then we have maybe business development, maybe sales and marketing, maybe HR, so reporting to the MD, we have maybe control, IT. This is like an organogram. Are we together? Yes. Good. But you see, in the organogram of life, this is what we teach in Fear Mastery class. And this is what will help you with self-damning, to fix self-damning. In the organogram of life, this is the structure. This entity, in other words, deity, the definition of God is absolutely personal. Ladies and gentlemen, the day you insinuate by body language, verbal, acting, in any way, that someone's God is less than your own God, you are already practicing LFT. In itself, that is an unhealthy belief system. Because you know why? Just like I gave a description of, you see another guy, your filters extra say, I can't be close to this guy this much. The same thing happens. You're a Muslim, oh, so short, so sad. In your mind, there's just an extent I can relate to this guy. Because he is a Muslim. Oh, you're an atheist, oh my God, how could you? How could you? That in itself is a filter. It's LFT playing out, ladies and gentlemen. It's LFT. Because you know what? At the soul level, the soul has no color or age. The definitions we have given are earthly based. And everything is a relationship. So you will be shocked that the Muslim that you are shutting down, in his heart, wishes to serve the Christ that you think you serve, but cannot outwardly say because of the constraints of the Sharia, and you've already shut him down. The Christian you don't like admires how consistent you are as a Muslim and how diligent you are to your religion, And he wishes he can be like you. That's reverence for what you believe. And you've already said, Christian, no way, Arne, unbeliever, I'm not going to relate with them. So from the outward, you are shut down. You have no idea what's going on in the inside. So most times, LFT does more damage than we can comprehend. But the organogram of life says, I was reading 2 days ago, they said the current world population is no more 7 billion. It's how many billion? 9 billion. As of 2 days ago, current world population is now 9 billion people. Ladies and gentlemen, this line is 9 billion people relating to one God. So Madame has a child. By biological interpretation, you should guide your child, teach your child, tell your child, help your child, and everything your child. But the moment we're beginning to help the child understand God, what that means is between you and God, I have no hand or interference. The role a parent plays is to help the child understand how God works and how God behaves based on your limited understanding. No parent is a God to a child. So by nature of organogram of life, even a baby born today talks to God directly. That is why a baby can be abandoned by a parent who doesn't want the child. The cry of the baby is a prayer that God will send help. That is why a child can live without the parent successfully. It is biology that a parent needs to guide a child. It is not spiritual, that it is mandatory. I don't know if I'm talking to somebody. Yes, there is no mandatory element that a parent must be alive for a child to succeed. It's a biological necessity. So a child can be in a foster home or orphanage and is guided and becomes more productive than the person that grew up with his own parents. Because by nature of life, a parent is a steward, a guide, not a God. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because you need to understand that when you self-damn, you are simply devaluing yourself. In other words, you're saying that if I need your approval for me to be successful, gracias. I am in other words saying you are the God I seek to prosper. Am I talking to somebody?
Yes, sir.
In fear mastery class, one of the things we learn is that the biggest fear most people have, let me ask. Sir, what's your name? Chima. What's your biggest fear in life?
Fear itself.
Fear itself. What's your name, man? Sheol, what's your biggest fear in life? Failure. Sir, what's your biggest fear in life? Failure. What's your biggest fear in life? Going to hell. What's your biggest fear in life, sir?
At this point, I don't fear anything. I really don't have fear in my life.
Nice. Hello, man. What's your biggest fear in life?
I don't think I have got any fear because I feel there's no form of fear. Most times you just have
An illusion.
Yes, an illusion of it.
Interesting. Boss, what's your biggest fear?
I'm fearless.
Fearless, I like that. Because we have noticed from most feedback, everywhere there is fear, it is in comparison with something else. When I fear failure, it's because I see somebody succeeding. I hope I can succeed like this one. When I fear hell, it's because I see somebody, this guy says that he's going to make it to heaven. I hope I can be as godly, as holy, as pious as this fellow. Fear is always in comparison with something you see as bigger or more than what you have or can do. So actually, most of our fears are founded in comparisons. And we've noticed that the only way to combat your fear is to stop looking horizontally. only person that can validate your journey to heaven is up. The only person that can determine whether you are succeeding or not succeeding. Do you realize that being an orphan in an orphanage in itself can be success to a child by design? Because if the child were to grow with his or her parents, she would have been useless to the assignment God has sent him or her to earth. Last week I was called to intervene in a case. To a couple, man and his wife, are heavily into drugs. And then their child, 9-year-old girl, is just dysfunctional. They don't take care of her. They had to take the child to an orphanage. 9-year-old. This one is not that they abandoned her. The parents are so into drugs, they are disorientated. So they had to take the girl. So I was called to come do intervention, and then we have a child psychologist. We're working with the child so as to dissociate from her growing, and somehow we can grow a map for her. So that kind of a person, is it functional for her to stay with you? No, don't separate her from her parents. Please leave her with the parents. Are we together? Yes. So sometimes what you call success is because you're comparing a journey with another person's journey. The only way to help yourself from self-damning is to up your relationship with the vertical. Be as personal as you can. Then you realize that this 5 years delay compared to this person's 2 years delay, they are the same. They are the same. It will take one person 10 years to get a car. Another person, he just finished school, get a car. At the end of the day, they will just realize that, okay, so where were we in a hurry to go in the first place? That's the power of this life. I'm saying this because we said the third level of unhealthy beliefs is self-damning. Most of us have been really, really affected by self-damning. If you go to the social media, the level the limit. Now, for every belief that you allow, it will color your thoughts. The moment you think something, you start feeling something. Hello? Yeah. There is no feeling that happens by itself. All feelings are triggered by a thought. All feelings. All feelings. Oh, I feel so glad. Why? You were thinking of something that began to excrete those hormones of fun and gladness and happiness. Oh, I feel so depressed. Why? You were thinking of something that triggered those hormones of sadness and unhappiness. Every feeling is hormonal, but every hormone is triggered by a thought. A nerve in your brain would stretch and poke, and then the hormones are excreted, and then you feel. And every feeling leads to an action. You behave how you feel. You behave how you feel. So when you find yourself screaming, that behavior is because you feel either disrespected, frustrated, disallowed, choked. There's a feeling that you cannot accommodate again. You have to scream. But you felt that way because you were thinking. You were thinking that this person is always doing this thing. Why is it me? What's wrong with this guy? So a thinking will make you feel a particular way, and your feelings will make you act in a particular way. So every time you've acted how you didn't want, check what you were feeling. And every time you have felt like you didn't really like, check what you were thinking. And every time you've thought what you didn't like, check what you were believing about what you were experiencing. Everything boils down to here. Because Chima may come to me and hug me, my interpretation of the hug will determine my thoughts, my feelings, my action. Yesterday, in Abuja, someone came and said, Baba, me, and my brother said, don't hug him, he go steal your phone. And I looked at my brother and it sounded strange. The same action. He said, now so they steal my phone for money. Now so they steal my phone for money. Triggering events I felt hug. You know this illusion of Coach Sam, everybody knows me. Just hug, no problem. He said, no, don't let him hug. Don't let him hug your phone. You go steal your phone. I was like, okay. So, belief. I felt hug. He felt don't hug. In fact, crazy don't hug. Thoughts. I felt, oh really? I didn't say anything wrong. He felt they go steal your phone. I said they steal your phone from my phone. And then feeling. I now had feeling of caution. He already had feeling of anger, this kind of displeasure. And then action. He said, if Nami, I will push him back. Nami, I will push him back. So I was ready to hug. My action was to receive. Because I felt good that someone found me, liked me, wanted to hug me. Because my thinking was acceptance. I didn't have any unhealthy belief governing the fact that someone saw me, Baba me called me, and wanted to hug me. His own narrative is totally different. He will push you away and say, cut, stay where you live. Why? He feels unsafe. He feels suspicious. Why is he feeling that way? He thinks your motive is not pure. Why does he think so? Because his belief says, these guys, they always come in this way, oh, you don't trust them, oh, human being, that's what they did. Wow, the same thing. So what we do is largely informed by what we believe in the first place. Your beliefs will determine your thoughts. Now look at it. Feelings are autopilot. Actions are autopilot. Do you know what autopilot means? You don't have control. The moment your belief have created a thought, the rest will happen. You cannot do anything again once a thought has been established. That is why when you go for counseling, what do the counselors say? They say, what is your decision? You know why? Once you have decided, whatever we say is just story. It's just story. People will say, forgive him now. You know he loves you now. In your mind, I will not forgive that guy. So they're there talking, preaching, quoting scripture, telling you who. You're just looking at it. I have forgiven him. I'm forgiving him. What he thought? I'm not worried. Everybody go, we're happy. Okay. Sir, you know she has forgiven him. She's a very nice woman. Her decision was not to forgive. All that thing people are saying is story. So Tony Robbins says the proof of your decision is your action. What we see you do tells us what you have decided, irrespective of what you say and the impression you give. Decision is critical. The only place decision happens is belief. So that song that says, there can be miracles when you believe, is critical. Because the only thing that gives results is not the feeling, nor the action, is the belief. So I can be acting in a way and believing a different way. What I will get a result of is the belief, not the action. That's why it's easy to see how politicians cross carpets. Because what they do is different from what they are. I recall telling you this morning that the closer you match with who you are, or who you think you are, and what people say you are, is the originality that you are. This is that map. This is that map. This is what you are doing. This is what people know you to be doing. You're always screaming. They don't say, why is it that you always say me? I don't shout. When last did I shout? They said, oh, you don't shout. Yesterday it happened. Somebody was like, every villager! You cannot start shouting, Jebbi Sirawala, how did he put it? I said, Jebbi Moina. Jebbi Moina. And I was looking at him and was like, no, this is something at the peak. So somebody tells you, you know you have a problem with anger. Me? I don't get angry. Why? Because what you have consistently represented is different from what you think you are. And you will always be at conflict. Because you think you are pious, but the whole world sees you as crazy. You think you're quiet, but the whole world sees you as a chatterbox. You have to come to the point where you say, This is who I am, and then you project who you really are. That gap has to close. Nobody can take that journey for you except you. So I'm optimistic that when you come for EI class, these are the methods and methodologies we take you through. There's a particular module in EI class that I think is very important, especially because of these three factors, the authorizing, the LFT in class. This happens on the third day of EI certification, where we help you. Any impression that you cannot experience stress is disempowering in itself. You know, self-denial is disempowering. Self-denial means something is happening, but we not pay attention to it. It's disempowering in itself because it will still revisit you. The reality will still come back. But immunity says, I will associate with the condition and place my boundaries around my experience. So you actually become regulator of the stress itself. These are a lot of things we need to learn. That is why the people that you see as successful, they have become an embodiment of stress regulation themselves. They face it head on and determine what they want per time. So I have a loan on my neck, I need to face it. They face it head on. They go to the bank, negotiate the deal, renegotiate, they keep renegotiating until they pay it off. They don't run away. That's emotional immunity. You have series of heartbreaks, you face it on, you go ask yourself, you go and ask, what is it I'm not doing properly? Ask questions. Know what you're not doing. Ask yourself, what am I supposed to be doing? What do I really want? When you don't know what you really want, you begin to build capacity to fill that gap, provided there's a gap of capacity. As you're closing that gap of capacity, you begin to experience the kind of life you really want. But most times we run away from what we should be running towards. We just say, God, help me do this thing. I know the Spirit of God will help me one day. The Spirit of God says, well, you have it. Why should I come and do it? You have the skills, you have the networks. I tell people, the biggest abuse I've noticed is capital abuse. People have people in their lives that will give them the results they want, they won't use them. You now want the Holy Spirit to come down and do it. How? Because nothing is an accident. The people in your life are deliberately planted for you. The skills you learned are deliberately planted for you. The schools you went were deliberate. You went to the kind of schools to be able to meet the kind of classmates and teachers and that kind of environment for a particular reason. What have you done with it? Nothing. You're on Facebook, you have plenty of friends that come from plenty of places. They don't know what you are doing. You don't know what they are doing. You are not serving each other. You are not doing anything. You are busy posting selfie and checking into every ridiculous place. So I've told people the biggest abuse I've noticed is capital abuse, human capital abuse. We don't use the people in our lives, yet we want to be better. Even God uses us to get his things done. Do you understand that? Absolutely. There is nothing that is spiritual that is not affected by a human. Nothing. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. This man may be hungry in his house and is asking God for food. God has to use someone to either come and knock or prompt him to leave his house and go somewhere. And there has to be a physical exchange. Food will not just arrive and I say, God, I feel full. Oh. I feel full. Oh. God will say, you're a madman. So I'm saying this is fear mastery now. This is not EI. In fear mastery, we help you understand that everything has a spiritual direction, but the physical is the implementation. And it starts with you. It starts with you. You're fully equipped. Like people say, my time is up. Nkiru, where's Tola? People say my time is up. Yes. So this is the tripod. Self-preservation, people preservation, and the earth preservation. So let me ask you, So what is emotional intelligence? We'll be talking for about an hour now. Now that we've said many things, what do you understand as emotional intelligence? In a layman's view.
So you,
Yes.
I'll say it's flexibility.
Flexibility is emotional intelligence. Fantastic. Who else?
Interacting and communicating with people, interacting and understanding.
Communicating and interacting and understanding people is emotional intelligence. Fantastic. Who else?
Okay. Managing yourself, people, and your space.
Managing yourself, people, and your space. Oh my God. Fantastic. Yes, sir.
Ability to manage your own emotion and that of others.
Ability to manage your emotions and that of other people. Interesting. Yes, sir.
Being aware of how you feel, how others feel, and your ability to manage.
Being aware of how you feel, how other people feel, and how you're able to manage both ends. Wow. These are great, great perspectives. And that's true. One thing we learned in EI, I was doing this conversation in Mina, and I asked this question: what is emotional intelligence? And one of the guys in class said, emotional intelligence is giving sense to your emotions. Grace says she's spontaneous. Emotionally speaking, all of us have a tendency to be spontaneous. Emotional intelligence is that momentary pause to give logic to what your emotions would have done. So you are not happy about something, naturally you would either close up or lash out, depending on whether you are introverted or extroverted. But emotional intelligence says you pause and you ask, why did you do this? Or what's the reason why you did this? Logic. Introducing logic into how you would have ordinarily reacted. So in anger management, there's a tool we call respond instead of react. And we say response is deliberate. Reaction is spontaneous. We all have the right to react. But it is responsibility to say, you know what, I want to know more. My friend in Abuja, Isaac Onoja, will say that every time someone has reacted, it's because they are asking questions, they want to know more. So your responsibility is to help people know more about how you feel. That is why Daniel Goleman in that video said 4 things. Be specific. This is how I feel about what is going on. And as you're saying it, you're empathetic. You're not using words that look like you are daft. I am wise. You didn't do the correct thing. You are wrong. You are evil. You are bad. You are, because every time you say you are poking. The mind of man naturally is defensive. So when you go confrontational, whether subtly or aggressively, it will come back with defense. I say, you too. So in assertive communication, as you're talking, you must continue to mirror, if I'm receiving these words, how would I feel? If I'm hearing these things, how would I respond? And so as much as possible, that's why in coaching, we tell people, for every condition, ask questions. Instead of tell. Don't tell people what to do. Ask questions so that people can see what they are doing by themselves. These are very powerful perspectives. Let me take a few questions before my team comes. Any question? Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. Yes, sir.
Okay. I have these 2 questions.
Okay, sir.
The first one, how do you draw the line between healthy self-esteem and pride?
Correct.
Sometimes you know that you are not proud. Maybe because of the standard or the way you carry yourself or something. And people perceive you as someone who is very proud.
Yes.
That's the first question. Then the second one, you have this boss that when you do anything that is wrong, rather than calling you to tell you that this thing you have done is very wrong, don't do it again, he will say it in front of everybody. Okay, let me just be straightforward.
Okay.
You have a pastor.
Yes.
Each time you do anything wrong, he will use it as part of his sermon. And he has been reoccurring, and you've tried to, like, you know, this person is above you, and how do you manage, I mean, from what you have taught us, the map,
Yes.
how do you go about it?
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Number one, what's the difference, or what's that thin line between healthy self-esteem and pride? We've already talked about the tripod. It is necessary for me to feel good about myself. That is self-esteem. The moment my feeling good becomes a problem, when my feeling good makes it look like I am, by implication, thinking you are less than I am. I feel good and I'm the best person here. Trump-like goodness. Trump will say, I know that everybody, and I can tell you. When your insinuations, verbal, body language, suggest that none around you is like you, that goes beyond self-esteem in itself. That in itself will not be a problem unless people preservation has been defeated. When people preservation is defeated, irrespective of how fantastic your job is, you're not emotionally intelligent. At that point, it's gone beyond self-esteem. So yes, I may be the best orator around, but I must give credit to every other person who can do it as well. It may even be proven by some metrics that I seem to be the best around, but that is not license to think someone else is not. Because it has been proven many times that introverts have capacity to even beat extroverts in many things. But because they are reserved, they won't see it. And when they demonstrate it, you'll be in awe that, oh my God, we never knew we had such a person around us. So the thin line really is, by your conduct and attitude, are you people preserving? Now, well, how do you know? Number one, a good candidate is ready to share. Any day, anytime. The proof of healthy self-esteem is that I'm ready to share my shine with anybody. When you find someone restricting a shine, hoarding, wanting to have the credit every time, always, there is a problem of self-esteem already. It is a front. It looks like self-esteem. No, it's actually shallow. The person is calling for help, calling for attention. So it looks like self-esteem. It's not. So sharing is key. Number two, no element of what we call rubbing it in, which in context of communication we call it contempt. You do not get contemptuous where it looks like you couldn't have done it better than I could have. And sometimes contempt is shown in criticism. You criticize, so you see something well done, but you want to look for loopholes just to prove that my own is perfect than this one. Such people have issues themselves. Now that brings me to your second question. There is a philosophy in our practice of behavioral science that says, hurting people hurt others. People who hurt are naturally looking for opportunities to transfer pain. So when a pastor has the habit of preaching a pain to rub it in, he himself is dealing with a pain. So when you have that mind, if you have that understanding, you switch into a compassionate mode. You're compassionate. Switch into the help mode. When you meet people who are acting in a dysfunctional way, your first element should be, how can I help this person? But what we do most times is we take offense. How could he? I went to him in confidence. Oh my God, I don't trust him again. Yes, that pain is legitimate. That disappointment is legitimate. But you know one thing Oprah said? When people show you who they are, believe them. When people demonstrate who they are, there's nothing else you can do than to believe that that's who they are. So you need to switch in a mode to help. And the only way you can help is to help your belief system know that, oh, this person needs help, so that it doesn't transfer this behavior to other people. But it's not everybody you can help. Hello? It's not everybody you can help. Oh, don't go and say, Christian said, you have my pastor. You go to him and say, Pastor, I just want to tell you something. I think that thing you preached, I think it's somebody's problem. So I tell you in the name of the Lord, you are a problem to yourself. So, one thing I believe, personal philosophy. Remember I told you the organogram of life? God has a map to help everybody. It's my personal belief. If I cannot have access to you to help you because of some things I don't have comfort about how you do it, I am too convinced God has a way to help you fix it. Second philosophy, personal. Most people perpetuate their dysfunction because they refuse to listen. So sometimes, that's why I say you can't help everybody. Where you, I told you before, what you can control, control. What you cannot control, release. So where you have capacity to impact, do it to the best of your ability. Where you don't have capacity to impact, just pray and let it go. How God will answer that prayer, you won't believe it. So don't get so fastidious, because then LFT starts to apply. You are insistent that I must help my pastor. You now start doing small committees. Mr. Berry, come to my house on Sunday, let's have lunch. You know what you want to do. I said, have you noticed our pastor? Did you know what he said? He said, so person, somebody somewhere in Sri Lanka. Now our church, I know who he was talking about. You now start doing small committees. You want to help. Then it now becomes a vice. So what you can influence, influence. What you cannot influence, release. Very important, please. Yes, sir. Okay, the hands are throwing up now. Yes, Jim.
I want to ask, how do you define your feelings and thoughts to be able to handle it? For instance, I had an experience yesterday. It happens to me often. I just start feeling uneasy or unhappy. But I keep asking, what is the reason? What is the reason?
Good. In emotional intelligence, we say emotional intelligence is not one thing. At no time do you have one feeling. At most times, you have many feelings that overwhelm you. Many things are happening at the same time. So, when you feel a particular way, isolation is key. And isolation is relative. Isolation to me can be quietness. Isolation to someone else can be music. So when I say isolation, it's personal. You have to determine what works for you. You need to also do backpacing. Backpacing means this is me now. I feel somehow. I feel sad, moody, backpace. When 12 hours ago, what was my feeling? 6 hours ago, 9 hours ago, backpace. To the point where you know that, okay, this was around the time when this feeling started. What happened around that time? We do this in therapy. Somebody comes to you and says, for the last 3 years, I've not done anything productive. And I said, well, for the last 3 years, when was the last time you did anything productive? He said, actually, 5 years ago was the last time I did something productive. So they came to you saying that for the last 3 years they were not productive, but in real analysis, it was 5 years. They just didn't take notes until 2 years later. So I asked, okay, so 5 years ago, where were you? I was in 100 level. Really? 100 level. What's happening in school then? Who were your lecturers? Who were your friends? Where was your dad? Where was he working? Where was your mom? What's your impression of how they were relating? Because sometimes we respond to what happens around us. So until you do backpacing, you really cannot sometimes go to the root of an incident. So it's important to go back and articulate a behavior around the things that are part of the person's life at that time. You may have an idea that, okay, this is the likely trigger. Remember, TFA map governs everything. When you find the trigger, ask them, what were you thinking about this behavior? Let's assume 5 years ago the person was in school. And the person says one of my lecturers was our physics lecturer. Okay, so tell me about him. And he said, that guy used to just harass my life. Trigger. What do you mean harass? What were the attributes? Who did you tell? What happened? What were you thinking? You begin to apply the map. So how you were thinking about the harassment informed your feelings. I became agitated, I became recluse, I couldn't read anymore because I couldn't concentrate. You are beginning to find a pattern. And then unfortunately it now became a pattern. And then 5 years later they're still behaving in the same way. So simply put, find back pace, identify when it started, and then ask yourself what made it happen. What did I do to contribute to it? How could I have averted it? Secondly, when you come to the present, sit back and ask yourself, there's in class, I don't have any of our manuals here, there is actually a chart we have in your certification manual called list of emotions. So for all of you here, when you have a particular, when you feel a particular way you cannot articulate, please grab your smartphone, go to the internet, go to Google, type list of emotions. It will show you plenty emotions. Go one after the other. When you meet the emotion that you are feeling, you will know. Am I talking to someone? Simple logic. This is simple logic. Go to list of emotions out. You now ask yourself, why am I confused? What's confusing me? Begin to now dissolve it. And then you get your answers. Are we together? Does that work for you? Okay, so I'll take you, then we'll take any other one. So, yes.
All right, you mentioned that every day is an opportunity to make extra cash.
Everything, yes.
And what comes to mind is the fact that I've heard some successful men saying that at some point in life they've had to do some things for free.
Yes.
So what's the connection between doing everything?
The only succeeding strategy to make money is free. Pro bono is the only successful strategy to make money in this life. So you are here for free. Did you pay anything to come except your transport money? But you'll be surprised that in this hall, in the next 12 months, we'll make more money than we spent hosting this session. It's a strategy. And of course, the only living strategy on earth from time immemorial is sowing and reaping. That's all. Every other thing is founded on the principle of sow, reap. What you sow, you reap. The only principle of life is sowing, and every other thing comes under it. So yes, it's a functional strategy. Why do you think 10 years ago, CSR was seen as, if you like, do it? Now, CSR is a functional strategy in most organizations. Why? Because it comes with tax waiving, it comes with tax holidays, comes with cross-cultural benefits, comes with access to grants and other opportunities, comes with free license certifications. So now, CSR, which looks like the Funalite, give us borehole, Funalite, send us to school, is now infused into corporate strategy. So, giving is a life strategy for getting. And if you must make money, you have to be willing to give. I will tell you a secret. I left my job effective 1st July 2011. For 18 months. Now, prior to leaving my job, I had become certified anger manager, therapist. I had become certified emotional intelligence expert. I was already a licensed life coach. I recall in Ilasa here, my house, I will sit down and I will be tweeting. I'll open my anger management manual. I'll be tweeting. Everything in the manual, I'll be tweeting. My wife will come and say, these things you spent money on. You're just, are you okay? To be honest, I did not know why. I just knew I was going to share, Sha. And I kept telling her, this thing we make, they will still call me because of this thing. Every morning I will send a broadcast, elaborate 6 ways of doing this one, 3 this one, from the manual. I will share a story and grab something from the manual and put it. What was I doing? I was reinforcing in the minds of people that I was an authority in this subject matter. And actually it worked because I had the content people didn't have. Today, I cannot measure the percentage profit I've made doing this thing. I cannot. If I try to calculate it, I can't. So You need to understand that. You see, something about life is hoarding is counterproductive. There's nothing you know that somebody else does not know, actually. There's just a shelf life to what, how far you can keep it. But I've noticed, the more you give what you have, the more people want to understand what you give. I'll say it again.
Absolutely.
I'll say it again. The more you give what you have, the more people want to understand what you gave. Some people used to say, the more you give what you have, the more you get. That's one level. Another level is that the more you share what you have, the more people come to ask you, that thing you said, can you please clarify? You have reinforced your authority in their mind. When it comes to this subject, just call that person. As far as Nigeria is concerned, there is no place I've not entered. As far as this country is concerned, no place I've not entered. And it's just because there's just this nomenclature of this guy is a representation of this level of skills, which would not have happened if I just didn't share. So that's it. Yes, sir.
When actually you said, what do I fear the most? I said fear.
Yes.
So now I want to ask, is fear an emotion? That's one. Then two, how do we conquer this fear itself or master it? Like you said something about fear mastery class.
Yes.
So how will it be conquered once and for all? Not every time fear.
First and foremost, come for fear mastery class. First and foremost, fear mastery class. Look at this timetable. Fear mastery class in Lagos is 23rd. Okay, no. Fear mastery class in Lagos is 16th to 18th of March. So please register for this class. But let me help you. Fear is a tool, not a vice. We see fear as a vice. In this life, what you're not afraid of, you cannot conquer. So you need to understand that I must first be afraid of something, then it tells me that I need to beat it. If I'm not afraid of anything, if you're not a threat or a problem, I will not pay attention to you. I hope you know. So anything you are not beating or conquering is because you have beat it. Do you understand? Why do you think the top 4 clubs in European English Premier League, why they're having issues? Because when the underdogs are going to encounter them, they're already afraid of them. They will give everything to play them. So you will notice that when Man U is playing Chelsea, for instance, they have a way of evening each other. Nobody's afraid of the other. But when maybe Sunderland is going to play a Man U, they will give them hard work most times. Because fear is a motive. It's meant to be a tool if used appropriately. And yes, it's a legitimate emotion. Now let's talk about emotional science, which you will learn in class. I told you we have a list of emotions in our manual. All emotions, every human is capable of demonstrating every emotion. Every child born of a human being has the capacity to demonstrate every emotion. It's part of your wiring. There's nothing like, I don't know how to feel jealous. It's not true. I don't know how to feel envy. It's not true. I don't know how to hate people. It's not true. Every emotion is part of your package. Now, emotions in themselves are legitimate. It's application of emotions that tell us whether it's functional or dysfunctional. So, I may find someone molesting this woman. I need to hate the behavior to be able to protect her. But when you define hatred, is it a good thing? We think it is not. All emotions are neutral. No emotion is good or bad. It is the application of an emotion that determines whether it is functional or dysfunctional. You must hate some things to overcome it. You must love some things to attract it. But you can love the wrong thing. You can love the wrong thing and hate the right thing. Someone with Toyota Corolla black, is this PG or FG? 266 LAI. Kindly help us repark. 266 LAI. Toyota Corolla black color. Wow, it was wrongly parked. Please, someone should please help us. If it's yours, kindly repark. Thank you. So, all emotions are legitimate. No emotion is good or bad. If I love something, I will attract it. If I hate something, I will overcome it. You need to hate some things in life. For instance, by every means, hate poverty. If not, you will be poor goodly. You know, there's a way to be legitimately poor. Yes, there are some people that they are self-sabotaging themselves by themselves. You have a rema, you will not talk about it. You will pray and fast for 12 days, God will give you an idea, then you want God to come and now implement it. You love poverty. Because you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to seek counsel, you don't want to find a way to execute it, you don't want to invest your money. Somebody says, I want to be a public speaker, but you don't want to spend 5K to attend any course, let alone 10K, let alone 20K, let alone 1 million, and you want to earn 1 million. Where is that done? One of my organs when I was working used to tell me, Sam, if you have not invested 1 million in yourself, nobody will give you 1 million naira. And it's very true. So if you are here and you have the attitude of, I don't like to pay for things, but you like to enjoy things, well done, sir. It's very good for you. But the thing is, you have to be an embodiment of what you are looking for. So, no emotion is good or bad. It's how you implement it or apply it that matters. You have to be an embodiment of what you're looking for. Yes, ma'am?
You talked about under the
yes.
about flexibility.
Yes.
How can one be flexible?
How can one be flexible?
And the second one is dealing with the fear of failure. You said that the fear of failure is
in comparison. In comparison. I'll explain now. So, first question is, how can I be flexible? What does flexibility mean? Flexibility means for everything I want to do, there are other ways of doing it. That's all. That's the simplest way to put it. For everything I'm thinking, there are other thoughts. For everything I'm seeing, there are other views. For everything I'm hearing, there are other perspectives. That's flexibility. So it means that if I think I want to do something, I can also find other ways of doing it. That's flexibility. So when you come with a different view, I will admit it as legitimate. I will not say mine is the only view. That's flexibility. Allowing your mind accommodate other views, other perspectives, other implications, interpretations, other angles to it. That is flexibility. It takes allowance. You see, sometimes we know there are other views, but we say, I want it my way. That allowance is the problem. Knowledge is not the problem of most Nigerians. Allowing things is the problem of most Nigerians. So I know I should resume on time. I know. Allowing myself to wake up early or find means to get to work early is the problem. So knowledge is not our problem. Allowing things to be done the way it should is the problem. Now talking about the second question, talked about fear mastery, right? Failure, fear of failure. And I said, anytime you have fear, it's because you're comparing. Failure in itself is very necessary. Failure in itself is very necessary. I recall when I was leaving my job, I used to be afraid of pay. Okay. Because I was current best staff of the year for the second year running. So my job was not in any way threatened. And I was asking myself, this life coaching you want to go and do? I was benchmarking myself with Larry Olushola because he trained me. And I recall one day Larry said, Sam, I've been following Tony Robbins for a decade. Tony Robbins has been doing this thing 18 years before I started. It would be foolish for me to think I will earn Tony Robbins' salary today. So Sam, my advice to you as you are leaving your job, because when I was going to resign, I told him, I said, you see, your class has impacted me. I want to go and resign. He looked at me and said, sit down. Sit down. He said, Sam, it would be foolish for you to think you will earn my salary now. So part-time, know your space. Know your space. Larry and I share a very close relationship. And I know where I place him. And I know how he has helped me. But every time, I don't forget that statement. Know your space. I'm not showing you, but it will be foolhardy for me to say, I want to be called on the platform he is called. I will not do the same thing. Know your space. So failure in itself is just an interpretation. It is probably because you're looking at a threshold that your space has not reached. And because you've not hit it, you think you failed. Know your space. Because per space, there's victory. Per space. Every victory has its space. And every space has its victory, I'll put it that way. So if you understand your season and timing, you're successful at that time. And as you're flourishing, it is going to shift. And you succeed again and you shift. So failure really, in NLP we say there is no failure, there's only feedback. Feedback means you never reach there, you go reach. Where you did, celebrate it well. Be an embodiment of where you are per time. So that when you leave that space, it's not vacuum. Somebody will feel it honorably. So disabuse failure from your mind. It's feedback. Don't let it threaten you. Question. Feedback. We're not doing this program. This is going to hold in April, but it's holding in Abuja. And I will graciously be happy if, in the last class, we had this session in October last year, and we had people come from Lagos to the class. This is one of our exclusive programs in soccer. It's called the Crash CBT, and CBT means called Behavioral Therapy. And we do this twice a year, every April and October. So this year, we're hosting Larry Olushola, Dr. Maimuna Kadiri, and my friend, my personal friend. You see her head is scalped, right? Her scalp is clear. Aishata, you see it? She just returned from the UK, having undergone some intensive therapy. And so I asked her to come to class, come share with our classmates the process of therapy from somebody that has gone through it, especially from a zone where it is a practice. So I particularly am passionate about this program because my deepest longing is therapy. Aside emotional intelligence, anger management, I love to see problems, emotional problems and mental problems really dissolved. So I take therapy very seriously. And every time we're going to be bringing top-notch people to come share skills to people who are interested in therapy. So if, for instance, you are a counselor, you are into ministry, you are in HR, you are a psychologist, you are a life coach, you need to understand therapy skills. Because a lot goes beyond the tools of coaching. There's a lot more about standpoints in mental behavior that you need to understand. So this is for everyone. However, the condition for being eligible for Crash CBT is that you must be a graduate of our emotional intelligence class. You have to have gone through emotional intelligence class to be eligible. So how can I be gracious to the people in Lagos to attend this program? Because for me, this program is critical. Two things I will do for you. Number one is given that you should be in emotional intelligence class. And I will advise you to attend. I will give everyone here, except Moses who has a 100% scholarship, to attend our emotional intelligence class, which holds from the 10th to 12th of March. Next weekend, that's after the coming weekend, is Lagos Emotional Intelligence class. 10th to 12th of March is our Lagos Emotional Intelligence class. Everyone here who is interested will take or have a 30% discount of the cost of the emotional intelligence class. So, now, we say our classes are 150,000, but 30% means that you pay only 105 to attend emotional intelligence class. But because I said my passion is therapy, and you guys may have to travel to Abuja for it, I'm concerned. So this is what I will do. For only 5 people, first 5 people who will be in the therapy class, you're going to pay only 25% of the therapy cost. The therapy cost is 100K. 25% means you pay 25K. Is that not so? Because you will attend EI and then you have to travel. Means that minimum 5 people should pay for EI and still make a commitment for therapy. Then we know that you're in. Already, Abuja class for EI is full. CBT, as at October last year, if you had already paid for April. And we don't do more than 25 people in a class in any certification. We don't. We always have a class size of 25 people. So it means that even your 30% to do EI, it's only the first 25 people we can take. The next class holds in September, based on the timetable. So if you miss this March class, you will graciously wait till September. And EI, the next CBT holds in October. So if you miss April CBT, you can only attend October CBT. So if you have the will to attend EI, you take 30% discount, you pay 105, then you also pay a commitment for your CBT that is holding in April. And it's fantastic. You have access to my own instructors. Dr. Mimuna has been my guide for some years now, and it's been highly beneficial. So I like to share my networks with you when you come to class, so that you can have an advantage of how to build your skills for the people you help. I know a lot of people have passions towards kids, and that is very critical. You need to come understand child psychology, how to communicate with kids. I know a lot of people have passions towards teenagers, and there is a system with teenagers. You know, teenagers, we say they're in a fix. They are too young to be adults, and they are too old to be children. So they are in some special place. You need to come understand how they think. I know some people here are passionate about couples, about women, about widows, about divorcees, or separated people. Different people, different passions. But in Soccer, we have everything suited for you. And we know you will enjoy the class. So these benefits are up for the grabs. Every discount for EI would elapse in 4 days. In 4 days from now. So it means that you have between Monday and Thursday to fulfill it. By Friday, all discounts dissolve. You pay the full fee. That is very critical for you to take a decision. So it's a whole lot of opportunities to take advantage of. And it's a lifetime of journey. The only exclusive benefits, now let me explain our certifications. We are certified with the Century Institute in California. So all our certificates are co-branded with Century logo in the US. It's a US approved certification. Secondly, all people who attend soccer classes automatically become accessible to me or my networks. If you follow me on social media, you'll notice last week, Larry Olushola was in Abuja, and we had a time, we hosted him at the Hilton, and all the coaches had time to ask him questions, talk with him. The next day they went to see him in his hotel. I was not even there. They went visiting him, taking gifts to him. This is accessibility. Dr. Mimuna has had access to my networks, to my coaches, every time she's come to Abuja. The same happens with other instructors that we've worked with. So I'm thinking that this is great leverage for people who become insiders. And becoming an insider means you've attended at least one program of our certification. Other courses we've not talked about are anger management. In Lagos, anger management will hold 13th to 15th, and Fear Mastery will hold 16th to 18th of this March. And my dean has graciously said that all people who are coming for anger management or Fear Mastery will pay 50%. They'll pay 70%. Okay, so it's the same thing with the EI. Okay, cool. So it means across all courses, you have 70% bouquet to take advantage of, and your gain. So that's for the opportunities. Let's go into the subject matter all over again. Let me ask you a question. What have you learned today so far? What is one decision you've made? Remember, we said once you've decided, every other thing is autopilot. What have you learned so far? Yes.
Today, I've learned that emotions are contagious, and I've also decided from now to take charge of every space that I feel, and to take charge of the emotions around me and to develop healthy beliefs, because I've been able to understand the importance and how critical it is to focus on what I believe, because this is what eventually causes my action and my feelings.
How many of us know this statement? How many of us can relate to this statement? So you realize that anytime you've demonstrated unhealthy beliefs is an opposite of this statement. Because if I know that whatever is playing out will turn out the way it should, then no cause for alarm. No cause for alarm. It's a belief. You need to permit yourself. I'm going to go back to that word, allowance. It's a permission. Every time you're always going to be struggling between what you know will happen and what you are seeing. This is a war that can never end. I hope you know. The realities you are seeing may never always match what you have in your mind. It's a consistent war. You want people to smile. In your mind, smile. Physically, looking like this. You want alerts. One whole week, not one single credit alert. These are reality. It's always a war. Reality versus ideal. What I want, what I want, what I want. But you know something? It is he that persists to the end. It's very clear. It's a perception. You have to understand that I, Sam Obafemi, can never be stranded, can never be poor, and there's no how it will not work for me. It's a belief, it's a settlement. It's a settlement. There's a post I wrote on my blog many years ago. I said, settle it in your mind. And it's true. Once you make up your mind that it's settled, it is settled. We hear these things, we think it's a motivational talk. It is not. It's life itself. That's how life is. So somebody asked me, how do you exercise faith? And I say my own personal idea of faith is say it and leave it as it is. Don't analyze. Don't postulate. Don't try to strategize. Okay, if Shade comes and Ade comes, then my class will happen. I will have 15 people in class. How it will happen, leave it. So Paulo Coelho in his book, The Alchemist, says when a man wants a thing, the universe will conspire. Do you know what conspiration means? They will fall all over themselves to make sure that he has said it to, let it be done. So be it. Full stop. But the moment you enter the phase of analysis, you're saying, hey, terrestrial powers, hold. I know what I'm doing. Give chance. You want to now start doing the permutation. They're looking at you, okay. When you finish, you say, well done, sir. Where are you? So you need to give space. Don't interfere with what God is doing. I don't know who this is talking to. I hate it when I get spiritual in class. But you need to understand, sometimes we interfere with the conspiration. Most times, we interfere. And, you know, so you need to understand that once you want something, say it and get into the act of expecting it. When you enter the expectation stage, what you should do, just listen for instructions. Because sometimes, I want this MacBook, and I am heading in that direction, and somebody says, well, you know what? I think if I go this way, the longer I walk, the better I get it. I was telling my younger brother 2 days ago, I said, one philosophy has worked for me. It's the philosophy of self-awareness. Some people believe that they must hustle, according to Bishop, hustle to get it. They must hustle to get things, and actually, you will get it after hustling. Some people believe that I don't have to hustle. I have grace. I will do what is right at the right time, and it will happen. And actually, they will get it that way. So, some toil to get things is okay. Some don't toil to get things. It's still okay. The question is, what is your philosophy? Because life is an empty plate. My philosophy is every morning life says, Master, what do you want? And as you say, this is what I want. Life says, I get it. You're wrong. End of the day says, Master, this is what I brought. As you serve it, you get it. So if you see yourself toiling, it's not wrong. It's because you believe you should toil. It's okay in itself. If you find yourself enjoying plenty of gracious benefit, it's still okay. Why? Because you believe it. I'm going back to the TFA map all over again. How many of us were here when we started the TFA map? Okay, if you were not here when we started the TFA map, whoa, I need to revisit that map. Who here is feeling stressed or distressed or feeling agitated? My people said I should give some gifts. So each of these are gifts. And I don't know who to give what.
Life is a plate, so I want it.
I like that. Okay, so he's standing up, I'll give him one. You said it first, I'll give you this.
I think second.
I'll give you this. Who runs a business here?
I can walk towards what I want.
I like that. Okay, I want to.
Last one.
Bill.
This is okay. All these are on the table there. I would usually prefer that you have a copy of each. I will describe what each one is. What Gabriel has is what we call how to create a successful business model. I told you this morning that everything is a strategy, right? Yeah. Good. For strategy to be effective, there is a model that must govern it. So, if my strategy is to befriend people, I must have a model around befriending people. It means that I must be able to have boundaries, cautions, perspectives, service, platforms, and all that. Okay. So, this is how to create a successful business model. I usually would encourage business owners to have this first. When Innocent Usa met me for the first time, I was going to Jos and I sent a broadcast and he said, "Oh, you're coming to Jos, I'd like to host you in my office." We're not met, we'll be hearing about each other. So he hosted me and we got talking and he took me on his radio show in Jos there and said I was going to be in his session, hosting his session the following day. That was a Friday night. By Saturday, the whole hall, big hall, was full to the brim. And we got talking and we discussed this. By the time Innocent himself listened to it, he said if he knew what was in this material before he started business, because as at that time he said he had lost in excess of 15 million naira, wasted. He didn't understand, he was just blowing money. And he said if he knew what was in this material prior to that time, it would not have happened that way. Because yes, sometimes I tell people we are passionate about business. Passion in itself is not profitable. Passion is fuel. But you need to understand the methodology that will help your strategies work. That is where profit comes in. So somebody can be passionate 12 years. And another person passionate 1 year. But the second person understands business. So you will now understand why Steve Hardy says, understanding the business of your talent. He knows what he's saying, because talent is not enough. Passion, you wake up, passion. Instagram, Facebook. And I don't know when you're like, oh, please buy me data. It's lack of strategy. So I really recommend that you get this to get a hand how to work on your business model. And it's so cheap, 500 naira to get this. This is our anger management audio course. Tells you about the myth surrounding anger. People have said a lot of things. Anger belongs to food. Anger is evil. Anger is that, this. And then we say, I told you before, all emotions are legitimate. And neutral. If I cannot express love, I cannot express hate. Love and hate are the same. They're just in two different quadrants. Do we get?
Yes, sir.
Likeness and dislike are the same. It's the same energy. It's just different quadrants. So you need to understand the strength of your anger. Unless you are angry about stuff, you can't beat it. So you need to understand the myth, the methodology, and then the dysfunctional sides to anger. This is the full body of works about an hour of play that you can listen to. Then this is a double CD. This is a double CD. This is CD1 and CD2 of emotional intelligence. So this is, people ask me, if I buy this CD, why should I come for your certification? This is a mass class audio content. This is not an instructional material. The class you're coming for is instructional material. When you're done with our EI certification class, you become a trainer, a certified trainer of EI. You can go and build your own content. Our manual is such that you can extract what you want for any level of audience. Kids, teenagers, married, singles, executives, business people, any level. That's the certification. This one is for layman understanding how relational competence works. How to identify what you want to, who you want to relate with, and relate with them at their level so as to get things going. You know, in NLP they tell us that the only place you can establish your results is in the place of rapport. This is that rapport, that capacity to build rapport, the ability to connect, relate, and get results. Everything is a strategy. Please, if you don't remember anything today, don't allow life happen to you. You said you're deliberate, intentional. Everything should be intentional. When you, if you're, as you've come here now, this young chap, when he came, he said, from whom he told himself that if nothing, he must meet me physically. That is deliberate strategy. So as you're here now, you're eyeing one chick, deliberately ask yourself, how is the strategy for sorting that out? Everything has to be deliberate. Don't just hope that, I hope that we will meet at the door and jam each other. Hope is not a strategy. We learned that the hard way in business. So there are 2 CDs here. Each one is 500. This goes as a set. So 1.5. Sorry, Jerry. It's 1.5. The whole set. Okay, so this book comes with an affirmation CD. This is my second to the last book. There's a latest one called The Mirror of Your Darkness. This is Fearless C. This is a course material for Fear Mastery class, but it's a book on its own. Now, what this book tells you is the fact that what many of us did not know is that while we were in gestation, we were already living. While we were in pregnancy. So when you became born, some attitudes you were demonstrating as a kid did not just land on you like that. They were gestational attributes which you grew up with. And one of the things that this book, the highest feedback I've got is that people suddenly realize they've been living other people's programming. That's the highest feedback I've got from this book. They say when they read this book, they realize that they've not been living their own life. A particular lady told me that when she read this book, suddenly she realized that she wanted to enjoy being single again. She said, I'm just 26 for God's sake. And everybody's making me look like the whole world has ended. So suddenly she's like, you know what? Let me take my time, look for who I want, instead of trying to befriend everybody to know who is the right guy. This book helps people to get liberated. And so when you hear my brother says he's a fearless seed, we know where it came from. We have that capacity to be fearless. This is a 5-track affirmation album that has 5 tracks. The first is I'm a fearless seed. Second is affirmations for your teenager. Third is sweet sleep affirmation. This sweet sleep affirmation was written based on request from a friend who is a manager in Standard Chartered. She said she always has insomnia, issues with sleeping. So I wrote this affirmation and I sent it to her. And within a few days, she said, Coach, I don't know what you did. I can't believe that I could sleep that long, because she always sleeps between 10 and 1 o'clock. 10 p.m., she wake up 1 o'clock, she won't sleep again. That day she slept till 4 a.m. She could not believe it. So, sweet sleep affirmation, wealth mindset affirmation, and affirmations for the fear of God. A client in Abuja said, her child likes this last one the most. Mommy, take it to the last one. Mommy, take it to the last one. Affirmations for the fear of God. So, this pack as it is, as a combo, is 1.5. Get this book, and you will be grateful you did. Thank you very much. So who is going to help us summarize the TFA map for our friends who were not here? Please put your hands together for Mr. Oyemade. You have the board. Enjoy.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Alex Oyemade, and I reside in Ondo State. Enough of me, we are here to talk about TFA map. So before I took my debate, I wanted to ask, what is the full meaning of TFA?
Who can answer that? Is that what? TFA.
So it's a sub right there for us. TFA, Thoughts, Feelings, Actions Map. Over the last month, I've been exposed to a little bit of NLP. And then they say in NLP that the map is not the territory. It means your map is not the territory. What is a map? Your map is your representation of what is happening around you. So when we say a map, so when we're talking about the TFA map, that means how you represent things and how you act based on what you have represented and interpreted. So, it said a triggering event is just like an anchor. What must happen for you to feel a particular emotion? What happens for you, when it's told, when they gave me the pen, I felt anxious, nervous. I'm about to face a couple of people I don't know before. The giving of the pen is a triggering event. The emotion I'm feeling, e.g. shaking of voice, not knowing what to say directly, despite knowing it, not coming, not thinking on my feet, is a feeling now, is an emotion, based on the fact that I'm giving a pen. So what happens before you feel an emotion is a trigger. An emotion caused by something, cause effect. So that trigger, or the anchor now, is what happens before any emotion we are feeling is happening. So that represents the first one, there's no name for drawing it. That represents this. But the reason we are feeling what we are feeling is how we interpreted that trigger. Because in most cases, we have thought you should not speak in front of people because you fear you make a mistake. So that has created a belief in my mental system that you don't speak in front of people. You don't talk first. Wait for the first person to talk before you talk. That is a belief system. So that is what I've believed over time, which is causing me to now, relate standing in front of people to be a trigger for nervousness or for anxiety. So what you believe for a trigger, which is the belief domain here, will cause you to start feeling some thought. I hope I won't fuck up. I hope I won't say the wrong words. I hope I won't make grammatical mistakes. The thought will come, which is start, triggering the feeling of anxiety or nervousness and all of that. So which will now make me start acting, shaking the voice, not knowing what to say. But in belief domain now, we were told that these two arrows represent two things. The first one is LD beliefs. And what are healthy beliefs? These are beliefs that are empowering, beliefs that help you, beliefs that make you make productive actions. Empower, that's the first arrow. The second arrow, it told us that they are unhealthy beliefs. What are unhealthy beliefs? Unhealthy beliefs are beliefs that are disempowering, dysfunctional beliefs. The belief that does not help you. Believe that, why should I be the first one to talk? Now leave it. Why should I ask, like you asked him the other time, give it to me, I have 2 minutes, and he gave it to you. But some would not. I don't deserve the best. It happens a lot, even personally to me. It happens to almost everybody. We all have unhealthy beliefs that we all, that we carry out, that we believe in our mental system. It's a programming already that does not help us. And then he said there are 3 subdivisions of unhealthy beliefs. The first one is awfulizing. And then the second one is low frustration threshold. And then the last one is self-damage. Should we take it one after the other? Awfulizing is when everything must be done your way. Awfulizing is when what you do, you believe what you do is the best. You believe you know best. You believe you know it all. When you are this perfectionist. Everything must be done your way. It is only me, only me, only me. And then he made mention of one of NLP's presupposition. He said the person with the highest flexibility controls the system. That's the law of recursive rewriting. If I want to speak with a tomato seller, I don't say, and now I should not start saying business jargon. She does not understand it. Or with the gate man, I'm telling him go and switch on the gen. What happened to on the gen? Off gen. So be flexible in your approach. It lessens your level of stress. And then the second one was low frustration threshold. This happened last time I was coming from Akure, Ondo to Ibadan. And what we got to immediately before Ife, after Irai or so, the bus gasket, is it bumped or busted? I don't know. And everybody was happy. I was like, nothing is happening. I just felt safe, got my phone together and started reading the PDF. It felt so cool. And then the next 5 minutes, another bus came, and then we transported into the next bus and got to Ibadan around 11 p.m. It was so cool. It did not affect me. But there are so many other guys in that bus who were feeling so stressed, low frustration threshold. And then he said, the nature of life is stress. If life does not stress you, then you are not doing anything in the essence of it. Life has to stress you, it has to push you, it has to stretch you. And then he said, self-damning thoughts when you're always feeling, I'm not willing. There are so many people who is actually willing, but feeling they are losing. Because they have always believed that I must, they have set up so very high standards for themselves. And then they believe if they don't meet up to that standard, they are losing. Which is very, very bad. Thank you very much for listening to my talk.
Toyota Camry LSD 558EH. Kindly repark. Toyota Camry LSD 558EH. Thank you, sir. Interesting. Thank you, Mr. Alex. That was quite beautiful. And I'm surprised you have everything in your head. It's powerful. Powerful. One of the things that I'm hoping we get used to is the fact that we can begin to embody our learnings. Embodiment of learning is key. I think one of the significant lessons you would have known by now is that it is okay not to be okay. So yes, you've learned many things about EI, but somehow you will still be not getting it like you wish you could, not based on my standard. One day when in the Hausa University many years ago, one guy was asking me in class, who manages the anger of the anger manager? You know, and I thought that was a brilliant statement, because this perception that because I'm certified in anger management, I can't get angry. I say, oh boy, emotions are part of me. I'm an embodiment of all emotions. And I need to be angry about things. In fact, I need to also mess up with anger. Then I can learn a new way to channel it. I know how to not get angry. So it's very, very profound. Very, very profound. You need to understand there are levels of interaction. One, who am I interacting with? Consider who you're interacting with for you to know how to apply emotional intelligence. Very important. You recall when he said, if he goes to a tomato seller, you can't act like you're in a corporate environment. They don't match. So who you interact with is critical for you to be able to use emotional intelligence to your advantage. Number two, in interacting with who you're interacting with, understand their level of efficiency, their capacity of effectiveness. Because we may be in the same corporate environment, but our learnings are totally different. One of the videos we watched this morning talked about the fact that you may be talking to a visual person. You may be talking to an auditory person. So yes, we're in the same level, I think, but you are visual, I'm auditory. So if I'm using auditory means to talk to you, using so much of words, and I'm not showing you images, and I'm not painting a picture, I will lose you. And then I get frustrated because I think you are not comprehending, or I think you are not trying to understand me. So have you seen people arguing and saying, you know, guy, you don't understand what you're talking. You not just won't understand what you're talking. In fact, don't worry. Just leave the matter, not talk again. Meanwhile, it's a disconnect. So in class, in EI class, we take you through what we call the internal representations test, an instruction we had from NLP. We take you through a test, which means that we help you understand I am digital, or I'm visual, or I'm auditory, or I'm kinesthetic. You're any of these. If I can understand who I am and who you are, then remember we said earlier today, which strategy would you use? If I'm kinesthetic and you're auditory, which strategy would I use to communicate to you? Let me hear. I'm kinesthetic. Okay. The person I'm interacting with is auditory. Which strategy would I use to communicate with that person? Auditory. Auditory, right?
Yes.
You have a different view? Patrick? Digital. If I am kinesthetic and you're auditory, if I use digital, I may lose you. I may lose you. Because you just need to hear. So it's important to understand these representations. If I am kinesthetic and you're kinesthetic, it's easy. I'll hug you. And as I'm talking to you, you will feel it. I take you, it's experiential. Kinesthetic is experiential. So whatever we're talking about, I involve you. That Chinese code that says, if you want me to know it for one day, tell me. If you want me to know it for 1 year, write it or something. If you want me to know it for life, show me how to do it or let me do it. It's a kinesthetic statement. That statement in itself is not complete. So when you involve people, there are some people, they don't want you to involve them because they are not detail inclined. We call them sensors. They don't want, we call them intuitives. They don't want to be too much in the details. They just want to give them the big picture. You know, there are some people, when you say, I'd like you to get me so, and they go and buy it, and they start saying, I bought sugar 5 naira, I bought, please, how much did you buy it? Everything. There are some people like that. Yeah. They're intuitive people. They just want, just tell me the big picture. Don't start breaking it down, it bores them. Meanwhile, there are some people, please, I want you to take your time. Tell me the gist. Do you understand? So until you understand these differentiations, you always have conflicts and you wonder whether you have a problem Or people don't just understand, people don't just understand me. I don't know my problem. I don't know their problem. People just don't understand what is going on. They're going through a lot. You need to understand that it could just be these differentiations in internal representations. So am I talking to someone here? Do you want to ask me any question? Yes, Simon?
I want to begin by seeing a big thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
For the few minutes I've been here, I've learned a few more things. Thank you. Before I bring up the question, I want to mention two statements you shared.
Okay.
First is, when you said that when you decide on what you want, the universe conspires to make it happen.
Yes.
The second statement is, hope
It's not a
strategy.
Yes.
This is my question. How can you bring a balance between leading the process of manifestation to the universe and setting up a strategy to what you want? For instance, earning ₦1 million.
Yes.
How can you bring the balance between living it to the universe and then setting up a strategy?
Thank you.
Thinking it out.
So let's use your specific example. I, Sam Obafemi, let's use you. You want to earn ₦1 million. Simon wants to earn ₦1 million. This is what Simon wants. So, universe, you're listening to us. Give him ₦1 million this week, ending 3rd of March. Is a prayer. It's happening. And so Simon says, Coach said we should just leave it. Good. If you determine and say, from my contact list, there's also a person that called me or someone wants me to do something. If he gives me 500 and Nkiro gives me 300 and Lamide gives me 100, I'll make 1 million. The moment you start doing this postulation, you may miss it. Because they may not be the channel that conspiration will use. It may not come from your work. It may come from your work. So that specific articulation of who will give you the combinations and create 1 million may be misplacing. This is what life expects. I want 1 million. First question, what role will I play to facilitate getting 1 million? Is it my skill? Is it my friendships? Is it my networks? You need to understand the roles you play. And the roles may include the fact that, do I want to show up for my skills? Do I want to follow up on outstanding payments? Do I want to sell more? Do I want to do? Those are roles you know you have influence to play. You are not going to determine who gives you what. You don't know what combination of roles will give it to you. That's number one. Number one is clearly determining what role do I play. So, what skills must I sell to increase the possibility of making that money? That's number one. Number two, which is the most critical. Bros, if you see a poor man, he's not listening. If you see a lost man, he's not listening. Your inner man will tell you what to do. The moment you set a statement to life, instructions will start coming to you. You need to be able to decipher what to do part-time. Because you, even these roles we're talking about, these skills, you will know what to do part-time, who to talk to part-time, simply by listening. So one of the things most of us have not developed capacity for is to listen. You need to take time. See, if you read any book written by any significant person, they'll tell you they have their meditation time. Meditation time does not mean yoga alone. You cross leg and be doing. No, that's not what it means. It means that there is a time when you sit down, introspect, and listen. We do a lot of talking. Unfortunately, social media does not allow us to listen. You're always there, tweeting, posting, IG, Facebook. Facebook these days, people make so much noise. I'm like, how do they cope? How do they cope? So you need to introspect and listen. If you see a poor man, mark it. He's not listening. So I challenge you, If you want to see a difference in your own status in 21 days, see what happens when you listen. It's a challenge. It's a challenge I'm throwing open. The next 21 days, determine that I'm going to spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I will not do anything. I'll just keep my phone down. The process of listening also is a journey. Because the first few minutes of listening, a lot of things will be disturbing your brain. Stay at it. Just stay and declutter. Just be focusing on the future, what you wish you would like, what you want, where you're going, where you're coming from, why you're grateful for where you're coming from, the challenges, the lessons. In the quality of these extractions, you start hearing suggestions. If you like, write them. If you like, keep them in your head. They don't leave you. These suggestions that become an impression, follow it. Am I talking to you?
Yeah.
Any suggestion that becomes an impression, follow it. That is the one the Spirit is telling you, do this, do this, do this. You know it's biblical. The Bible says, and I heard in my ear, it says, follow the way. So everything is already in this. It's just that we are not listening. So I beg you in the name of God, 21 days from today, you will see change happen to you. How? Just dedicate in your heart that I will spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, depending on what works for you. Don't do anything. Leave the phone. Put off the TV. Just sit down, cross your legs, just close your eyes. If you have any, like, you can sit down in your bathtub. Sit inside the water. If you like, carry your teddy bear. If you like, go and sit on the road and be looking at cars passing. Anything. Just isolate and just be indulging your mind. Think of where you're coming from. Think of the lessons you're learning. Think of where you want to go. Think of your aspirations. Think of your friends. Think of your siblings. Be thinking deliberately. As you're doing these thoughts, suggestions will start dropping. Sit down, listen, write if you like, memorize if you want, whatever happens. As it's impressing on you, follow the impression. You will be surprised. So sometimes people, you know, people actually thought, one day, someone asked me that, Sam, you're very deliberate. Everything you do, you have it planned out for years. It's not true. My friend is here, she knows something. If there's any strategy that's worked for me, there are strategies that happen out of impulse. The things that happened the best for me are impulsive decisions. But they didn't just happen because I just woke up and saw them. No. I sat down and out of introspection, impression, I pick it, I call for that straight, let's do this, and it's done. They yield more than the one I sit down and say, in December, I will do this one, do this one, do this one. Start planning. It's spontaneous and we just override that one. So there's place in meditation. Meditation is so critical because listening is king any day, anytime. Any day, anytime. A man's soul is enough compass for him. Hello? Did you hear what I said? A man's soul is enough compass for him. All those shadows we are pursuing everywhere, if it's not in alignment with your conviction, forget it. It can't work. So at the end of the day, your conviction is the compass. If you will achieve anything, there has to be an internal, you know, it's scriptural too. There has to be an agreement inside of you that this is what I want. Your soul is enough compass for you. You know why? In Fear Mastery class, there's what we call the spirit state and the earth state. Man is on earth, but man came from here, the realms of the heavens. Here, at least all of us know DSTV, we know cable. You cannot have reception until there is a dish or an antenna. So your antenna receives instructions from the server or wherever the distribution location is. That's the same way it works with us. We can't do anything until we receive instruction. Your soul, or your spirit in this context, is the antenna. Your soul is the representation here. Your spirit is the antenna that helps you to say, do this, you do. No, don't talk, keep quiet. Talk, you talk. There's that relationship. That's why I told you that organogram of life. Everybody looks up. The moment you look this way, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. You look sideways for guidance. You look upwards for instruction. That's the way it works. So you must understand that you're in the earth state and consistently look up for instruction. Wisdom is profitable to direct. I'm appealing to you now, and I'm speaking from experience. Please don't be deterred or don't be derailed by any authority that is human. Be guided by volume of counsel. Be instructed by your spirit. Be guided by volume of instruction, which is why the Bible says, in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. Be guided. Guided is not instruction. Guided means I've looked through what I'm seeing and observing and hearing. Then my conviction tells me that this is the path to go. Follow it. Be guided by volume of counsel. Be instructed by your spirit. That way you will manifest. So all the authorities we see, they were following their... If you sit with Fela, he will tell you. He just does what he hears. That's all. You can't hear Fela tell you that I sat down, somebody said this one, then I did. You won't hear it from Fela. You won't hear it from Larry. You won't hear it from Kule Shorinyo. You won't hear it from Prince Fowowe. There are a lot of examples, probably. When you hear them speak, they tell you that they sat down, they weighed it, they heard many things, then they now decided. Why? Instruction is spiritual, and you must follow it. Have you heard Reverend Sam says, revelation is not for analysis, it's for obedience. Because when you have a revelation, you don't see council of elders as a killer road. Which one I think? I don't know why I went that way. Please, if you want to join any of our programs, kindly, there's a commitment list behind. Please don't forget to write your names. So kindly don't forget to write your name so we can follow you up to redeem your class. Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. You thought you've been teaching, and you said that we should begin to see everything as business. Okay. Now my question is this: sometimes I've noticed while negotiating with clients, especially through the social media, you can't see them, so you can't perceive if they are auditory or digital or visual. Yes. So how do you know? Because sometimes I do some things and I get the client, and I notice that I'm losing him, and I probably show him pictures. Yes. Especially when I'm trying to sell a suit, and I show him pictures, and I'm trying to explain certain features of the suit. He gets it, and there are some people that don't even care, and they still don't want to do it. So the question is, how do you, since you're not seeing the person?
Good question. In the test we will take you through in class, it's what we say. Say, out of the multitude of the heart, the mouth speaks. So even in conversation, I can tell there are words. So when I'm talking to you, and you just go back to comprehend what you're saying, can you be a bit clearer? That's digital. They need to Google what visual people say, how they behave. You will just get a clear idea how visual people behave. You get a clear idea how auditory people behave. So as you are chatting, you can say, oh, auditory person. Once you see auditory behavior, don't chat again. May I have your number? Place a call. What you would have chatted 1 week, going to and fro, 5 minutes, you kill it. So why waste your time? Once you've noticed, and some of us who are skilled at this, from the first interaction, I will even test you. I'll just throw some statements, and your response will determine your possible representation. I'll do another one, it will validate or neutralize. I'll do another one. By the time I've done the third one, I have a confirmation. I'll now flow. Simple.
That's the way it works.
Sorry, do we have people who are a combination of all of this?
We have everything, but there is always the primary that we demonstrate. No matter the test human beings go through, we have everything. Remember I said it before, we're an embodiment of everything on earth. Every human being has everything inside him. Circumstances will bring out one part of you we never saw because it's already there. All humans are the same. All humans are the same. We have the ability to do it. You see, today we're fighting Boko Haram. They are fanatics, they are terrorists, all of us are terrorists. We just have not been positioned in a place where we will demonstrate it. So all humans are everything. They will love so much that they will be seeing you as terrorists. Because insider information to those terrorist camps. Those guys are lovers. They don't joke with the women they sleep with. They love them passionately. How can the terrorist love a woman passionately? Because we're an embodiment of everything. That's the funny thing about life. It's very difficult to judge a man when you know so much about humans. You just realize that this thing I'm judging this person, I have the tendency to do it. It's just that I've not been exposed to the condition that will make me do it. So the more you understand humans, the more you're able to tolerate a lot of things because you too can do it. Yes, sir. You may sit down, sir. Thank you.
Sorry I need to take that.
It's okay, please. Feel free.
This category you mentioned.
Yes. I should explain it again. That's fine. There are 4 kinds of people. Or 4 kinds of behaviors all of us can demonstrate. Visual, which means we walk by sight. It is what we see that informs our decision. Auditory, we walk by what we hear. We are people that love to hear conversation, so we're good with verbal interactions. Kinesthetic, we love to experience things, or we love to feel things, we love to connect. Then digital. Digital has to do with conviction. You also that's a place where people say, I need to connect with you. So that's the connection thing. Kinesthetic is feeling. Digital is connection. So when you have people, when you're interacting with people, we said you need to understand, first you need to understand you, which you are. Then you need to understand per person, who the person is. Now we started on this morning by saying, when you understand people, you work with who they are, not who you are. So the way, that's why in public speaking, one of the lessons you learn in any public speaking class is this representation. So as you're doing, that's why we did video earlier. We showed text, and I have to talk. Why? Video has an experiential ability. Text, visual. My talking and explaining, auditory. That way, to a large extent, everybody is carried along. To a large extent. All I've told you so far, we already watched it in a video this morning. It was deliberate. So those that like that feeling of animation, effect of video, they feel it. It replays in their head. So as I'm talking, it's just reaffirming. They're like, okay, that's what that video said. Oh, that's what that video said. Oh, that's what that video said. You know what that means? All their learning was majorly the video. Everything I was saying was just adding up. They are kinesthetic people, experiential. Auditory people are the people that they love. So, for instance, I'm not good with phone calls. I love chat to live. I can chat. I'm in a place I can't talk. Can we chat? Because I just want to have that chat. I'm visual. So if you want to sell anything to me, let me see an image of it. Once I look at the image, I expand it. Can it be this way, this way, this way? I'm good with colors. I'm good with sight. I'm good with anything that has to do connecting visually. So anybody who wants to convince me to do anything, send me an image. As you're talking, I'm thinking in my head, when can you finish? So, which is why I love the guy that does all my graphics. He understands. He hardly calls me because he just knows, Coach, what do you want? I'd say, pap, pap, pap. He just does a rep. I'm like, oh, this guy, I can love you forever. He understands, visual. Meanwhile, there are some people, that connection to visual It slows them down. They just, please, can you call? Can we talk? You're trying to explain things in chat. They say, you know what, let's talk at 10 p.m. Right now, I can't understand you. They will call you, they can speak for 1 hour, they will listen. You will talk, you will explain, they will ask questions. By the time that call is done, it's as good as deal. Those are auditory people. Auditory people. So this is that's why sometimes you have a proposal and somebody will tell you, just send me an email, don't worry. Those ones are visual people. They don't need to hear you, they don't need you to come and do any defense. They just say, make sure the proposal has everything I want. Some people say, please just send me an email, then I will invite you for us to have a discussion. That tells you they are auditory people. They want to hear you, ask you questions, and then determine what's going on. So you need to understand all these perspectives. Most times, digital people are a combination of these three also. It means that they process these different angles and then come to a decision. So sometimes, don't be surprised when somebody says, send me a detailed proposal. I will look through it and I will invite you. They've looked through it. They think they like it, but they think there are areas they didn't understand. They want to hear you. They are digital people. They want to be able to harmonize different views and then come to a decision. They want They don't want to decide. They want to rely based on feedback because they want to know that they are connected to a decision they have made. Those digital people. So when you understand these 4 kinds of behaviors, it increases your chances of selling. Kinesthetic are feeling people, they're experiential people. A typical example is, if I want to sell to you, let's say I want to sell a shoe. I'll say, sir, who do you look up to? What kind of shoes does he wear? Because I know that there is a connection you have to someone you look up to. Once I can tell you that he wears the shoes I'm trying to sell to you, you will buy it. They're experiential people. They love to know that someone I love, someone I like, someone I admire does what I am looking for, they will buy it. The same way, if you want to change a behavior, just mirror who they hate. We do this in therapy a lot. In therapy, we say there are 2 extremes, love and hate. If I want to get you to do something, I will project it from the love angle. Someone you love, I will shine that thing on someone you love. You will love it. If I want you to stop anything, I will shine that behavior on someone you detest. Naturally, the appetite will dry up. Naturally, the appetite will dry up. So that's how kinesthetic people behave. They love to, they want to feel it, that experience. Then they come to a decision. And they usually do that based on 2 extremes, love or hate. Yes, sir.
I just want to know the relationship between emotional intelligence and emotional bank account.
Emotional bank account is an event. Emotional intelligence is a lifestyle. Emotional bank account means, as you've come here for free, I've deposited something. That's emotional bank account. Emotional intelligence is now what happens between me and all of you moving forward. Do I now feel like, well, they don't come free, we don't give them drink, we don't give them something, and I'm not cocky. I'm eroding the potential of the deposit in itself. Emotional intelligence is relational. The quality of sustaining a rapport and relationship per time, irrespective of the deposit I've made emotionally. Sir, I may give you ₦1 million dash. That can be emotional deposit because you will like, just like that, I'm grateful, this guy is so kind. That's an emotional deposit. Then I now meet you at the airport and say, this man, that $1 million I dashed you. Hope you didn't go and spend it on women. It can just tarnish the entire deposit. Or I see you, you are greeting me, I don't answer well, and I begin to act as though you're not sustaining you now. I'm not taking care of you now. That body language can totally obliterate the deposit. So deposit is an event. Emotional intelligence is relational. It's what happens, that lifestyle, that ability to keep a relationship based on the tripod. Self-preservation, people preservation, earth preservation. Who does not understand the tripod here? If you were not here when we discussed the tripod, the tripod talks about 3 things that must happen if emotional intelligence must be complete. First is self-preservation. You must be happy doing anything. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are doing anything for anybody or for yourself and you are not happy, I beg you in the name of the Lord, repent. Repent. Be happy. Because someone that is not happy cannot make other people happy. Don't be a Robin Williams that finally made all of us laugh and killed himself. Some of us are going through some hard things deliberately because we want to establish that we want to be happy ourselves. So please, self-happiness is primary. Now, but while you are making yourself happy, please don't make other people sad. That is people preservation. That I want to be happy does not mean everybody should go to hell. Sensitivity is key. Empathy is key. Relationship is intentional. There is a future to everything. So I may be so myopic and push through now. I want to be happy, everybody go to hell. 10 years down the line, my definition of happiness may change. And I'll go back to the same people and say, I didn't understand. Forgive me, I was young. I'm not sharing by no. Deliberately learn the capacity to make other people preserved as you are being preserved. Then thirdly, which is earth preservation, anywhere your feet steps into, own it. And your feet here may not be physical. A typical example, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I saw a tweet. I can't remember the tweet, and I was going to answer. I was not even involved in the tweet. I just didn't like the narrative. Somebody was bullying someone. And I felt like, so I wanted to respond, as in interfere. Because I will respond. I wanted to interfere. I had finished typing what I was going to say. Something else said, oh, this is going to add value. So anyway, so your leg in this context can be virtual, can be mental, can be anything, not physical leg entering the place. The thing is, once I have visibility to something, I have the power to influence it positively. That's what we're trying to say. It means that anytime I get involved in any narrative, my role is to make it positively influenced. That is where your leg should take charge of something. Do we get? There's this lady on Twitter. She was ranting heavily about Buhari and and she said, my sister works in the Accountant General office. I know what I'm telling you. And now sent her in Twitter. I said, okay, so by trying to get angry, you have not exposed your sister. Exactly. She's like, oh my God, I was just so angry. I didn't know what to do. I said, please delete the tweet. Somebody says, it's too late. You have want it. Right? I said, so if you want it to work, then. So somehow, I was not involved in the conversation, but I just felt like, okay, you know what, if I have to get involved, I have to see that everyone at the end of the day thinks differently. That's why I said, is when you give sense to your emotions, allowing yourself bring logic into the spontaneous thing you would have done. Because later you'll be like, oh, thank God, I didn't act foolishly. And you know sometimes when we're